It's alive. It's alive.
Can you hear me? It can't be saved. It's gotta die.
It's alive. It's alive.
Why are you so anxious to be the one to do it?
It's alive.
Doctor! Demons are here!
It's alive.
Now, nobody knows how this thing happened. It's really a matter of speculation, and I think perhaps that's for the best. After all, if we find out that the cause is medication that we manufacture and it was administered over a long period of time, well,
What do your interests recommend?
absolute destruction of this thing.
It went down the storm drains.
That's how it can travel the length of the city without anybody seeing it.
Don't touch me. Don't you touch me. They stole my baby. Come on, get down. Did you see it? Did you see? What does it look like?
What are you
Get
afraid
those
of?
cameras out of my face, please. I got
Listen
no
to your other
comment. That had
child.
nothing to do with this.
Will you get that thing out of my face? Get out of the way!
He could have killed you. You know why he didn't? You know why he didn't kill you?
Look out, Charlie!
You've never been exposed to radioactivity in radioactive material or undergone extensive X-rays.
No, Doctor, I told you.
Can't rule out genetic damage.
Let go of
My department has already cautioned the police about excessive violence. If it could be dispatched with a bullet or better still, some kind of a gas. Undoubtedly, it is very small, and any kind of bodily harm, especially from gunshots or explosives.
In other words, you want me to sign away the body, is that it?
Well, it's your right. After all, you are the child's father.
The following is a paid advertisement. Really? A paid advertisement? Wait, the B-Movie Cast got paid? Yes, the following is a paid advertisement. This episode of the B-Movie Cast is brought to you by the estate planning services of Twyla Minear Brooks, attorney at law. Remember, when the zombie apocalypse comes, things will move pretty fast.
The body should be disposed of at once, preferably by cremation.
Well, how long after death, then, does the body become reactivated?
It's only a matter of minutes.
Minutes? Well, that doesn't give people time to make any arrangements.
Oh, you're right. It doesn't give them time to make funeral arrangements. The bodies must be carried to the street and burned. They must be burned immediately. Soak them with gasoline and burn them. The bereaved will have to forego the dubious comforts that a funeral service will give. They're just dead flesh and dangerous.
So don't leave your estate planning needs until the last minute, because you don't know when that last minute could come. Call Twyla Minear Brooks, attorney at law, at 859-351-2294. That's 859-351-2294. Remember, when you go, you don't want people saying,
"Yeah, they're dead. They're all messed up."
Twyla Minear Brooks, attorney at law, is licensed for practice in the state of Kentucky. Consult your local attorney for matters outside of the state of Kentucky.
Command march. The time will be running at X-20 seconds. March. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Fire.
Spawned by the continuing decline and fall of society as we know it, and created on the second-floor spare-bedroom studio in the Piedmont of South Carolina, podcasting on a shoestring budget and changing the world one freak at a time. It's the B-Movie Cast with your host, Vince Rotolo.
From coast to coast and worldwide via the internet, this is the B-Movie Cast, the podcast of unusual film and television.
Hi, guys, and welcome back to the B-Movie Clubhouse for episode 502 of the B-Movie Cast. Before I go any farther, I want to get our contact information out of the way. We love hearing from all of you, so we have a feedback segment devoted to your comments and suggestions, and this is how you can contact us. Option 1, pick up your phone and dial 888-936-0808. This is a toll-free number and a very easy way to leave a voice message. Option 2, you can make your own MP3 file and send it in to bmoviecast@gmail.com. Or use your smartphone voice software and record a call, then just send that in as an attachment instead. Or option 3, if you're not into talking, you can just shoot us an email to bmoviecast@gmail.com. Our website is bmoviecast.com, where you can subscribe to the podcast. It's free, and there you can join us on the Facebook B-Moviecast fan page and letterbox. Also, you can play the contest by sending in your answer by email to bmoviecast@gmail.com with contest in the subject line. And check out the links while you're there, or buy a t-shirt. I currently have smalls to 4Xs. If you want to help us financially, there's a donation box you can click on as a supporter on the Lugosi, Karloff, Agar, and the infamous Xanadu level through PayPal. Also, the easiest way to donate is to click on the Amazon bar on the right side of our homepage. This Amazon link will take you to Amazon.com to make your purchase. It doesn't cost you anything, and you can still log into your personal accounts when you get there. It's completely private, so think about us before you buy online. We have our co-host from Lexington, Kentucky, author, editor, screenwriter, film producer, Nic Brown. He has a new website, and it is authornicbrown.com. That's authornicbrown.com. He's the author of the Werewolf for Hire series starting with Blood Curse. He's also selling a series of books in collaboration with his wife, Fiona Young Brown, called the B-Movie Cookbooks. All of these are available on Amazon. He has produced 3 movies. The first 2 are Wretch and Loss Prevention, both of which could be ordered on Blu-ray or DVD through Amazon. And he is also the producer of the award-winning film Fall of Usher, which is now available for purchase or rental on iTunes and Amazon streaming. Today's pick can be blamed on our co-host, Bill Mize.
Yes.
His film choice is It's Alive from 1974, and it gave me anxiety. It was written and directed by Larry Cohen, one of the major players in the blaxploitation films of the 1970s. Oh, by the way, spoiler alert here. There's some plot twists that went right over my head, like, duh. Like the mother's contraceptives being the reason for the mutant baby. I did not even...
Wait, Mary.
Well, I know.
And thank you all for coming. Good night.
I did not hear that.
Mary!
I heard some stupid thing about contraceptives, but I'm thinking, well, she was trying to get pregnant, so why would she be on contraceptives? So it just didn't make any sense to me, so I ignored it, and yeah, that was kind of like the whole reason for the movie.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't watched It's Alive from 1974, please go and watch It's Alive from 1974 and then tune back in, because we're going to spoil every damn minute of this movie.
Right. And we're only 3 minutes in, and the wheels are already off the wagon.
Well,
so I think that's some sort of record. I'm going to claim credit for that.
I did claim spoiler alert first before I opened my mouth and said that.
You did?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure you did not.
I know you didn't, Mary.
I said, by the way, spoiler alert here. I didn't. I'm going to rewind this and see.
2 against 1.
Hey.
Yeah.
But I'm a female, so mine counts more.
You thought about it really hard.
Don't make us mansplain.
But Mary, much like a classified document, you can't unclassify it by thinking it. Same thing with spoiler alerts.
Okay. Well, you'll see. You'll see when you hear this. I said spoiler alert, and if I didn't, it's because I drank too much of the wine that you and Fiona sent me for my birthday. So it's your fault.
Okay, I will go ahead and accept blame for that because I have plied you with
retroactively
alcohol.
via alcoholism. Yeah,
Seriously,
sure.
they sent me a case of wine for my birthday. Not a bottle or two, but a case. All red wines, because they know
Not
I
a
like
good
red wine.
set of wines, but the Mad Dog 2020 was on sale.
I already drank that one. Well, right before the podcast, so.
We heard that Bartles and James are getting back together, and we wanted to really get you a nice little starter kit. So,
Man, I haven't
That's
heard
it.
that in a long time.
Next birthday, you get Zima.
No,
Oh, yeah.
no, it tastes like beer.
Welcome to the old folks movie talk here.
Yeah,
where
for real.
Where the references are at least 40 years old, and we're at least 60.
Speak for yourself,
Yeah.
Grandpa. I've still got a decade on you.
You're catching up with us.
But
I'm
you're
not
not
gonna
going to
catch
beat
you, though,
you're not going to
Mary.
beat John P. Ryan's Walter Brennan impersonation in the movie. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
that was a deep dive.
Oh, wow.
Oh. Okay.
Okay, so what's going on?
Back to the movie. I watched it
What
on
movie?
Amazon streaming, and the picture quality wasn't too bad. Special effects were, they were hokey now, but give it a break. It was made 48 years ago, so, it's good for its time, wasn't it? I think it was good for its time. I can't remember that long ago.
Okay, I'm going to say this, Mary, and, we'll talk about this a little bit more detail later. But for its time, they were good. But I tell you what was really good was how smart they were about not showing stuff.
That's true.
And this movie really knows when to show something and when not to show something.
That's true.
So, they
That's
did a
true.
good job
And,
with that.
As when Nick was over the other night, the first thing I said is this movie is so much better than it has any right to be. And
Rub it in that Nick was over the other night.
I'm rubbing it in with great vigor. But the two leads, love. John Ryan and Sharon Farrell were wonderful. They were the best decision that Larry Cohen made.
Yeah. I totally agree with you there.
I don't, but we'll get on with that later.
Oh, okay, Mary. Okay,
later.
Mary's
Everything's later.
Mary's gonna. I just be prepared because Mary is gonna go on a hate rant on this movie.
No,
Well, you and I will
not.
go on a love
actually
rant.
liked
So
it. Well, I
Well,
liked
that's
it as
it.
much as I could like something that scared me. But,
Well, the idea of a scary movie is that it scares you.
Exactly.
By
That's
the
why I don't
definition,
watch
yes.
them, because they scare me. Not so much like the special effects, but if they're really well made, like the Halloween series, it builds up like this incredible tension, and I'm like trying to fast forward through stuff because I can't stand the tension being built up anymore. So.
And you're wondering where the Bartles and James is.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Oh, did you fast forward through
No,
It's
I didn't.
Alive, Mary?
I didn't. I stopped myself.
We'll
Okay,
we'll
good.
find out. We'll find out during the discussion.
No, you won't, because I forget half the stuff I watch anyway. So you never know whether I'm
There
lying
will be
or
a
not.
test.
Anyway, before I go any further, I have to apologize to everybody for those big gaps we've had in our episodes recently, basically since 500. Number one, Nick and I needed a much-needed vacation. I stayed here, but Nick went to England.
Among other things.
Yeah. Among
I also
other
went to
things.
COVID land, and I
Yes,
got
you did.
COVID.
Yes, you did.
And I have a job. I'm not retired like some people marry. So,
Well, anyway, in the past 2 months, I had some minor surgery to get a skin cancer off my arm. But 14 stitches later, I am cancer-free. Then the roof on my house started to leak onto Vince's old Tiburon in the garage, so I put a bucket on his trunk, and I duct taped over the ceiling light switch fixture because the water was dripping in through the light fixture. and I didn't want to like accidentally turn it on and short circuit the house. And I'm still waiting for the roofer, by the way. That was like a month ago. Then Kitty got sick. I had to take her to the vet. My old vet retired. Kitty kind of likes the new one. She'll get used to her. Kitty let her pet her a lot, and Kitty doesn't let people pet her. She's like really weird about that. So, but they did a sonogram on her, and she's okay now. But she did manage to power puke and poop in her carrier twice, two different trips to the vet. So my nice new car doesn't quite smell like a nice new car anymore.
Okay, can I just tell the listeners how happy I am that you all got to hear about the cat pooping and puking in Mary's car?
Hey,
and moving on.
It's life. It's life. Okay, then I had to get a new printer because my old printer wouldn't print like remotely anymore because it's real old and they don't make drivers for it anymore for the new Windows updates and for all the other updates. So I had to get a new printer. And some friends came over and installed it. They did all the software. They hooked it up. And I still can't get it to print from my phone, but there's some bugs I have to figure out.
When the last thing you used your printer for was to diagnose the Rosetta Stone, I think you really need to get a new printer, Mary.
Well, I've been telling you, dot matrix is not where it's at, Mary, but nobody listens.
She likes tearing the sides off the paper that has the holes in it when it feeds it.
That's fun. Except it gets all that little spots all over the rug, though. Little dots.
Wow. Okay, we have officially lost anyone born after 1986, I'm going to say.
Yeah, you're right.
So
let the airing of the grievances continue, Mary.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, carry on.
Then
Mary.
they hooked up my new Garmin watch for me, and by new, it's a new printer and it's a new watch. But I actually bought them like over a year ago. I just never wanted to go through the hassle of trying to install them and link them to everything. So, but now I have a printer and a Garmin watch that I can't quite figure out the watch or the printer or my new car yet. But I'll get around to it.
The best paperweights ever.
Yes. Okay. Then I had a lower MRI in my lower back because, as you all know, my back has been hurting. I'm going to need some lumbar spine fusion with some screws and rods to fix my back pain because I have bone spurs that closed up that canal where your spinal cord runs through your vertebrae. But I'm going to wait till next year to do it because the hospitals are packed this time of year. I don't know if it's just the U.S. or if it's all over the world, but the end of the year, everybody has their money left over from whatever accounts they have, and they've already paid their deductible, so they all run to the hospitals and get all their things done at the end of the year to try to, save money.
Okay, who knew the butt implants would be so popular this time of year for the holidays, maybe?
Seriously. Yeah.
Hey, Mary?
Yes?
I'm just going to say the rest of the world is going, you don't have nationalized health care.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. And by the way, butt implants are important. I'm on a waiting list, to get my booty enhanced.
I am never going to get
is it for a decrease?
Hello.
It's
for shaping. You got to lift
and
separate.
Yes. Ew. I'm going to have nightmares tonight. Okay.
Hey, Mary.
What?
I've just made It's Alive seem a lot less traumatic, haven't I?
You seriously did. I'll have a totally different set of nightmares tonight.
Okay.
So anyway, I got a steroid injection into my spine instead to try to ease the pain.
I was going to say, they inspected your steroids?
Do I have a steroid?
Every 5,000 miles is recommended, yeah.
Yeah, they change mine every 6. The new filter's my favorite part, though.
It depends on if they're the synthetic steroids. You can get extra miles out of those.
Well, that's true, but you know what? They voided my warranty when I used them. So there you go.
Who knew butt implants had warranties even?
Hello, third set. I keep blowing them out. I'd sit down hard.
Oof. I was thinking about blowing him out the other way, but...
What other way, Mary?
Gas coming out of your body and making balloons that...
What?
Never mind.
What?
It's a... Never mind.
And
Maybe,
moving on.
Yes. Anyway, so the steroid shot did help a little bit, but it's wearing off now. So, okay. Then I got an MRI in my brain, so it's still there.
The MRI or your brain?
No, the MRI and the brain are still there.
Okay,
no
good.
new lesions, so that's cool. Then Spectrum Cable and AT&T been digging up my front garden all summer. They've been putting upgrade lines in, and we have one of those subdivisions that all the lines are underground. So every time one company comes in, they cut the buried cable that the other company just put in. So all summer long, they've been cutting each other's cables and having to come back in and dig up my front yard. So the last time, Spectrum buried their cable, but they unhooked my cable feed. I mean, I had cable. Everything was fine. They buried the main cable into the subdivision, but they unhooked mine. So, I had to go through a whole weekend without cable.
Oh, my God, Mary. What did you do?
Horror.
That was horrible. I had to stream stuff.
You had to read a book.
I had to stream stuff. That's even worse.
Mary, I haven't had cable in 10 years.
I know, but it's so much easier with cable. You just turn it on and it's there.
I haven't had cable in 15, so.
Well, with streaming, you have to go to the smart TV and you have to go pick something all the time, and it's easier to just click.
To wear out your remote hand.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, the last time somebody dug something up, I can't even remember who it was, but they nicked the water line coming into my house. So I didn't quite have a geyser in the front yard, but I didn't have water for quite a few hours. But I have 300 Mbps.
Megabits per second, Mary.
Thank you. Fiber optic internet. So maybe it's going to make the podcast sound better. Do you think?
No, it won't. But
it's the three of us, so I think that's doomed.
Yeah, there's no help there. My one thought, Mary, is the people who get really high-speed internet service want to do streaming.
Mm-hmm.
And you've just said that you don't like streaming and you don't want to stream. So I feel like there's a certain amount of, I don't know, going on here. But anyway.
Well, it makes my internet access faster.
Yes,
I
for
can Google things
all
fast.
the many high-speed things you do on the internet.
All my
But how high of a speed do you really need for funny cat videos?
A lot, because you miss those little tiny cute little things that they do.
Yeah, Mary
videos
hates
are
it when
very
cats
important.
buffer.
I put that thing on my list of things I hate, when cats buffer.
Yeah, tonight on Fox, when cats buffer.
Very special episode of Blossom.
That's right.
Okay, and I also have to apologize for the mess I made of episode 500.
Yeah, that was kind of a cat's behind.
Luckily, Nick, the hero, saved the day by recording a backup, which he does anyway because he knows me too well. But the episode was actually so long that it filled up the SD card I was using. And this stupid recorder I have, for some reason, once it gets to the end, it doesn't just shut off. It just turns around and starts from the beginning again and wipes everything out.
It's like a doorbell camera.
It sucked. Yeah. So I had 36 minutes. The last 36 minutes of the podcast was all that I had. So luckily, Nick saved the day.
Well, let's put it this way.
Nick.
If I hadn't been re-recording it, then odds are we wouldn't have had a 500th
That's
episode.
True, because I wasn't
going through that again.
No. And I did drink a lot when I realized what happened. Then I took some chill pills. So thank you, Nick, for being a hero.
Hey, you're always welcome, Mary.
Yeah. Oh, and I quit smoking again.
Wow.
How long this time?
It's been 2 weeks.
Nice. Congratulations.
Yeah. No, seriously, I'm not going to pick on you for that.
No.
No.
As an ex-smoker, I think it's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well done.
Cool. Okay, and then I had a series of laser procedures because I had these like weird veins on my back that just popped up like at the beginning of the year. Do you ever see that? Okay, the series.
I've seen The Tingler.
Yeah, no, the series. The guy that had the angel that had his wings cut off. Oh, what is his name? It was kind of a comedy.
Yeah, that sounds like a comedy.
Yeah,
it was a television series.
Those fallen angels.
That's a comedy.
He was the devil, and he came to Earth, and he lived in Vegas. Not Vegas. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Mary, you've just described the devil in general, I think. What? Let's see. Fallen angel lives in Vegas. Yeah, that's the devil.
What's the name of that? Somebody tell me.
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm sure the listeners will.
I'm sure somebody's going to
let you know en masse.
Gentle listeners, please write in and tell us what movie Mary's thinking of.
About?
I may know it, but I'm not going to say.
Nice. Well, thank you, Nick.
Hey, now I want to have audience participation.
Oh, okay. So he's the devil. He comes up from hell because he's tired of hell and he wants to have some fun. So he's in Vegas. He has this giant nightclub, falls in love with a detective on the police force, and then they have lots of adventures together. But somewhere along the line, it shows where he was mad and he actually cut off his wings, and the scar mark from the wings looks like the weird veins that showed up on my back. So I'm like wondering if that was the beginning of me growing wings. It was like my body getting like the
preparation.
Yeah.
So this is not Little Nicky, right?
Yeah, no, I wanted to have but see, I want feathery wings, and I'd probably get like just arms like Harryhausen's Medusa or something, you know.
Okay,
fun.
Mary, even as we speak, listeners' eyes are shriveling up at the thought of this. So let's let's get over you growing your angel wings.
I'm so sorry about all this stuff that's been going on. I messed up last week because I went on a birthday vacation with a couple girlfriends, and we went up to the mountains in North Carolina and hit up a lot of wineries. It was Three Amiga. It was fun. Anyway. But
tattoos?
No.
Not that she knows of.
Bathtub full of ice with a kidney missing?
On the back of my. Okay. Anyway,
yeah,
and then on
Mary,
top of everything
Mary,
else,
you need to go to the bathroom and check to see if you didn't get a tramp stamp.
Yeah,
you can't see those from the front, Mary. I'm just saying.
That's true. That's very true. And on top of everything else, I'm trying to coordinate hotel stays with Nick and Fiona for Matt Kowalski's upcoming wedding to Marie. I can't wait. That's going to be fun.
Yay!
We have to stop to see Tom and Wolfie while we're there, too.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, that's my excuses for why we haven't had episodes. It's pretty much been my fault.
Oh, the trials and tribulations.
I had a lot of stuff going on.
I do want to just point out that one of the reasons the podcast is so long sometimes is because we've just spent 20 minutes describing why we didn't put out an episode faster. So, yeah.
And for everybody, okay, I want everybody to write in and tell me if they think Nick is meaner now that he had COVID. I think he
Am I meaner?
I think he's meaner now.
He's got long meanness.
I've got long COVID meanness.
Long meanness. Yes.
Ask your doctor if long COVID meanness is right for you.
Ask your doctor if death is right for you.
That's right.
All right, so let's get this bus back on the road.
Yeah, let's get the bus back on the road. Are we doing a contest? Do we have a contest? My God, I haven't even checked the website. What was the movie that I put up for the 500th episode?
I think it was Dawn of the Dead, 1978.
Let's see.
Right?
Ooh, I entered that one.
I'm actually going to the website to look because I can't remember. And it is Dawn of the Dead. And the reason I did that one was I had just come back from the Monroeville Mall. Yes. And I stood right there where they were standing in the photo, and I was very excited as Fiona rolled her eyes for the 800th time that particular day.
And that same day, I went to the cemetery and had my picture taken next to the tombstone for Night of the Living Dead.
Ooh.
And this is the point where we say, oh, Mary, you weren't at Monster Bash when Nick and I and Fiona got to hang out with everybody. But yeah, I'll save that for later.
Okay, did you get COVID meanness too?
No, I'm just naturally mean.
Okay. No, we got to get the pictures taken when Mark was here, Mark Mostyn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did some fun pictures when he was visiting.
Because he broke into that little...
The chapel.
Oh, nice.
Okay, so the story there is at that time, they had not restored the chapel. And we saw a window that was partially
boarded up.
Open. It was partially boarded up, but there was nothing in it other than the boards. And so Mark, being very skinny and much more athletic than I would be, and a little bit crazy.
And of a criminal mind.
To a dark hole.
Yeah, he dove head first in, took some pictures inside, and then came back out. Mm-hmm. And funny enough, now, through the efforts of several nonprofit organizations and the young lady who played the zombie daughter in Night of the Living Dead, they were able to restore the chapel because it was in such a bad condition that they were going to tear it down. And fans of the film said, no! That is in the movie for 14 seconds, and it must be preserved.
Yes.
And so
now anyone can go and climb through the window for their own enjoyment and take pictures and then climb back out.
Exactly. As a matter of fact, there is no door. There's only a window you climb through.
It's part of the experience.
Can you actually go in the chapel now?
I don't know. I haven't been since it was restored.
I haven't either.
But what I do know is I have a piece of the original chapel that I purchased at the Monster Bash one of the years while they were trying to fund the restoration. So one of the ways they funded it was you paid like $10 and you got a splinter from a piece of wood from the chapel with a little certificate of authenticity, and it comes in a little plastic coffin.
Oh, you could have just dug that right out of Mark's hand when he came out from underneath the chapel.
Well, that's just gross. and honestly, this could be a piece of wood from the chapel. It could be a piece of wood from somebody's fire pit.
Yes,
I don't know, but
we'll print up that certificate of authenticity on Mary's new printer any minute now.
Exactly. Yes. I feel like it's legit enough that I've got it. And to add to my collection, when I was at the Monroeville Mall last summer, I picked up a piece of one of the escalators, specifically the one that they slide down when they're trying to recapture the mall.
Wow.
And they took that escalator out a few years ago, and the people who run the Museum of the Living Dead there in the mall were smart, and they said, hey, give us that junk and we'll cut it into little pieces and people will buy it.
Wow.
And
people
enough,
with expendable income will buy that stuff.
Okay, and here's the really funny part. So Fiona went through the museum with me, and she exited before I did because I was busy goggling at stuff. And when I exited, I looked at the display case to the right as I exited, and there were only about 8 pieces of this escalator left. And it was like, own a piece of Dawn of the Dead. And, so I'm reading it and I was like, ooh, how much? And they were like $25. And I was like, I want that one. And I bought it. So what I didn't know was that 5 minutes before, Fiona had come out and was talking to the guy behind the counter and had literally said, "What kind of idiot buys a piece of an escalator?"
And the pieces of the puzzle came together just like that.
They snapped. You could hear the audible click of the pieces of the puzzle snapping together.
Now, next time, Nick, they are going to scrape the cigarette butts out of the different ashtrays within the mall itself. So get in line for that one for the certificate and the small coffin.
Boy, I love cigarette ashes.
Ooh.
Collectible ash is my favorite.
I have some to sell you.
You're not smoking anymore, Mary, and I only want fresh collectible ash.
I can print up all kinds of certificates. If I can figure out how to use my printer.
Start printing your certificates,
not going to happen.
Mary.
Not going to happen,
yeah. All right. So,
yes,
the contest movie was Dawn of the Dead.
Yes, it was. Yes.
Did anybody guess that it was Dawn of the Dead?
Yes,
I did.
They did quite a few. Yes. And our first prize today has been donated by Patrick Kelly. It's the DVD of iRobot. Patrick says this 2004 film stars Will Smith, Bruce Greenwood, James Cromwell, and Alan Tudyk. The story is loosely based on the 1950 short story collection by Isaac Asimov. iRobot is a high-tech whodunit with FBI agent Will Smith trying to figure out which artificial intelligence creation could have killed the founder of the U.S. robotics company. Dun-da-da. And the winner is Philip Pine. Congratulations. Ooh. You have won iRobot.
Ashes of Isaac Asimov not included.
Yes.
Oh.
But part of his elevator that was in his house is, but no.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right. Y'all are picking on me.
You deserve it so much. Oh, by the way, Nick, are you going to give away a prize today?
Oh, by the way, Mary, thanks for asking. As a matter of
fact, not to put you
yes.
on the spot or anything, Nick, but hey.
Well, she likes to do that because if I say no, I sound like a dick. And if I say yes, I have to go to the post office.
Or you need to drive to Winchester to deliver
or
two
drive
of
to
them.
Winchester. So I'm going to do this one, but with a caveat.
Yes.
So here's my caveat.
Yes.
If the winner is in the USA, they will receive the complete third season of True Blood on DVD.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, right?
Very nice.
I know. That is.
And if they're not in the United States?
Then they will get a hearty hello by email and a digital copy of one of my books. Because #postage not included.
Yes. Okay, that sounds good.
I learned after I spent $30 to mail a $10 movie to Canada that
oh my gosh.
I know. Okay. So, this prize is from Nick Brown. It's the third season of True Blood. If you live in the U.S. And we have Don Falcos. I can't believe this guy wins so much.
All right, Rocket Don Falcos. And by the way, thinking about it, if they lived outside the U.S., they wouldn't be able to watch the DVD unless they had a region-free player anyway.
That's very true.
Hashtag buy a region-free player.
Yeah, that's a good hashtag. All right, do we have any other prizes,
yes,
Mary?
Our second prize is a third
It's
prize.
our third prize.
Third prize is a DVD donated by Juan. Remember to shop at fifthdimensionfilms.net.
Thank you, Juan.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks, Juan.
This is called Earth 2, a TV movie from 1971. The story is when Earth 2, an orbiting research space station, is menaced by the Red Chinese nuclear weapon. Its 2,000 inhabitants take action to disarm and dispose of the missile without resorting to violence. Okay, it stars Gary Lockwood, Anthony Franciosa, Harry Rhodes, Mariette Hartley, Inga Svensson, and Lou Ayres. So, winner of this is... And if it's somebody that always gets stuff, they're not getting it. Okay, and this is Michael Troy Travis. So congratulations, Michael, Troy, Travis. You have won Juan's movie. And our fourth prize is a DVD donated by Brenda McNeil. And it is the widescreen version of Chinatown from 1974.
Yeah, is right.
Yeah.
That's a
dang.
It's an American neo-noir mystery drama film directed by Roman Polanski. Stars Jack Nicholson, Faye Dunaway, John Huston, John Hillerman, Diane Ladd, Roman Polanski, a whole bunch of other people. Really good movie. And the winner is...
Bill Mize.
Almost. Stephen Bell.
Wait. Okay, who was the winner?
Stephen Bell.
Okay, how is that almost Bill Mize?
Because on my list, Bill's right under his name.
Okay, we can't see your list, but moving on.
I don't have a consolation prize for Bill, though, so that's it.
Congratulations to all the winners.
Yeah, and sorry about your luck to Bill Mize.
He thinks it's an honor just to be nominated.
Well, there you go. Okay, so actually your prize, Bill, is that you got to be on the show with us to talk about what movie?
We have picked the 1974 Larry Cohen film, It's Alive.
We?
Me.
Yes, we.
Nick and I thought it was a very good idea.
Nick. Okay.
Okay, and I do want to, before we start, I want to throw a little personal history of It's Alive out there. So this is one of many movies that we've done on the show, such as Your Hunter from the Future and some others that used to play all the time on cable television back in the early 80s when I was but a lad and I had just gotten cable television. Before that, we had to stream all of our movies, right? But anyway, so I remember distinctly watching It's Alive when I was about 11 or 12 years old, and it bored me to tears. I did not like the movie.
Wow.
Because I watched it as an adult, and I realized why. Because I literally had not watched it in 40 years. And when Bill suggested it, I was like, yes, because I want to revisit it. And that was a good excuse. And I realized why. It is very much a drama that happens to have a killer monster baby in it, and there's all this plot going on. And it really gets in the way of the story for an 11-year-old. But as an adult, I found it quite enjoyable.
I did find it enjoyable. It's just that scary movies scare me. So
that's what they're supposed to do.
But I try to keep away from them because,
just turn the lights on in the house.
Oh, you have every light on in the house. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Just leave the switch with the duct tape on it alone.
I could make a Frankenstein movie in my garage now. All I have to do is turn that switch on.
Have you not fixed it yet?
No. The roof guys didn't get here yet.
You know that roofing guys are different than electricians, right?
Yeah. But I can't get an electrician to come out and do anything until the water stops running through the light switch.
Just really think I need to ask that question occasionally.
I'm going to say we appreciate you drawing that distinction, Bill. Thank you.
You're welcome.
See, it's, okay. I want my roof fixed.
Okay, well, if your roof is fixed, then killer mutant babies won't be able to come in that way.
Okay.
But they can come in any other number of ways because evidently this baby travels through the Underground Railroad for mutant clawed giant skulled babies.
I know, man. That baby, I tell you, if you want to get around Los Angeles, take the mutant baby trail because you go everywhere fast.
Okay,
look for the undergrowth.
Was I the only one that thought those giant ants were going to come out of that hole in the LA River?
No, you aren't, because that's the exact same hole that they went into after the giant ants. Yes.
Thank you.
And I also thought that maybe, John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John might come driving by at any moment, drag racing in that.
Greased lightning.
Greased lightning.
Okay, I missed that one.
Okay, that particular location in Los Angeles has been used in a ton of films.
I know.
And
wasn't it the Buckaroo Banzai end credits too?
Yes, it was also where they shot the end credits to Buckaroo Banzai.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And you love Buckaroo Banzai.
I do. I'm a Blue Blazer regular.
Hey,
EBI skinny
wow.
boy. Yeah.
Wow. Nick got me the what was it? The screenplay.
I got you a copy of the
screenplay, and it was signed by every major cast member. I'm so excited.
It's
good. My favorite movie. I can see
something else we have in common.
Yes, that's true.
Look at that. We have our love of Buckaroo Banzai and of the Los Angeles storm drain basin.
Yes,
it's the LA River.
Okay, they call it the LA River.
I know.
There's no water in it.
Well, it's because they siphon all the water off long before it gets to LA, so there's nothing left.
How is it a river?
It used to be.
Then
it's like cement pond. It's a euphemism.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Except the cement pond had water in it.
And Ellie Mae.
But no bad
Oh,
ants.
yeah, Ellie Mae. Anyway.
Moving right along.
Seriously, I wanted giant ants.
Okay, well, that would have just been quite the mashup there.
Yeah, giant ants fighting a mutant baby. Somebody has to make that movie. Nick.
Okay, Mary, no, I'm not going to make that movie. Second.
What?
Did you pick up before we talk about the movie in general, I want to stop and talk about the special effects.
Mm-hmm.
As we mentioned earlier, this is a film that knows when to show and when not to show the scary stuff, the gory stuff, whatever.
Was this early in Rick Baker's career?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, this was he'd done Octoman.
Okay.
And, he was, he'd done a lot of B movies. I mean, this is 2 years before he did Squirm, as an example. Okay, so we're talking, this was his B movie series time.
Okay.
And, he hit the big leagues when he did American Werewolf in London. But I really like the mutant baby in this. And what I also liked was that Cohen apparently was on the phone with him and was talking about this idea with him and another fella, Dick Smith. And, they were working on the special effects for The Exorcist. And Cohen's on the phone and he pitches the idea and says, look, let's build a suit that we could put on my cat.
Or two
a
rabbits.
Chicken. Or two chickens.
Yes.
I would have enjoyed the two chicken one. That would have been funny.
I don't know how I would have felt about any of those, but I think what they did come up with was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. And, it was a combination of a big suit that they used forced perspective on and a little terrible, monster baby doll that they could throw at people.
Who knew that mutant baby physics were different than physics in general? I've never seen a baby jump or run or claw before this one. That thing was moving.
All babies claw and jump and puke.
Wow, Mary, you really do.
You've had some really
unique
like childbirth experiences, haven't you?
Yeah, I don't care for children, babies. Even mutant. I think I probably like the mutant ones better, actually. I don't know.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, okay, to be full on talking more about the special effects and less about Mary's general hatred of babies.
There was a dog. They did They did wrap up a dog in a blanket at one point.
Well,
'Cause there
okay,
was fur. It was supposed to be the mutant baby, but there was fur coming out the blanket.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Oops.
But also, they had a full-size head, like a mask, and they had some gloves with claws and a partial bodysuit, and it was actually Baker's girlfriend, who would go on to become his wife, Elaine Parkin, that was in the suit. So isn't that a romantic way to court your sweetheart? Hey, baby, I need somebody who's kind of petite like you to get in this mutant baby doll and act like a monster.
That would be fun. I'd marry him.
I hope it doesn't awaken anything.
Well, I don't think he's still single, Mary, and,
What would it awaken?
Wow, listen to the crickets.
I know.
Nobody's touching that one.
It would awaken something.
I'm not touching it.
Okay. That one went right over my head, too. Is she still married to him?
As far as I know.
Oh, okay. There was one scene as in early in the movie where it's like a close-up of the face, and it just looked like a guy's face with a lot of hair on his head and fangs. I even stopped it a couple times. It was like a 2-second cut, but it was like so awful. I'm like,
could it have been
shadows? Baby?
I think it was shadows, Mary, because I never remember the baby having fur on its face.
It wasn't like. It's just like a guy that had a long-haired wig or something, and then there were fangs. It looked like a vampire almost, or a werewolf.
Well, yeah, the baby does look like a vampire, but I mean, it's got like vampire baby head.
It's like a small baby Nosferatu.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah, that's kind of what it is, actually. No, but I loved the baby effects, and again, they did a lot of show, not show, and probably my favorite bit of that was the baby crawls into the back of a milk truck. And by the way, there's another thing that that your viewers from past about 1986, born after 86, would only have seen in movies, which is somebody driving around delivering milk.
No, wait.
But the baby,
if they were born in the 80s, they would never watch a movie that old that would have a milk truck in it.
I think that you're dissing on the wrong people, Mary. Okay, I'm going to give them credit because I have a lot of friends that were born in the 80s that all are fans of classic movies, even some born later.
Good for you.
As a matter of fact, Mark Mostyn's daughters might take offense at your comment.
That's true. They would.
See, there you go.
Most of the young people I know don't know what a black and white movie is.
Well, it's one where you just haven't adjusted the color right on your television. But that's beside the point. But no, my favorite bit though was that the guy, the delivery guy, is reaching into the back to get something, and he gets grabbed by the monster, and he gets pulled all the way into the back. And can I also just say, I don't care how strong this baby is, there's a certain amount of physics that goes into something that small and that light, just yanking full-size adult males around like they're rag dolls. But it kills him, and you never see the kill. But what you see is all the milk leaking out of the back of the truck where it's broken the bottles, and then the blood mixes with the milk, and it runs down the street. And I just think that's such a well-done scene.
I want to know who at Carnation signed off on that placement.
Okay, I'm going to say nobody.
Exactly.
That was one, every now and then they can get away with it. And I think It's Alive probably didn't have permission to use Carnation there. I don't know. I need to go back and watch the credits and see if they gave them a special thanks. And special thanks to Carnation Milk for their strawberry milk treat that they introduced in honor of It's Alive.
It did start out pink until it turned red.
Yes.
Well, yeah. Well, that's, blood mixes with with milk and you get pink.
I also think one thing that needs to be called out on this, besides the special effects, is the music. The music was amazing.
Yes.
True. Very true.
Well, and it was by Bernard Herrmann.
Yes.
And dude is, he's one of those guys. I mean, he did music with Hitchcock a lot. So,
I'm like, did he have an open
Vertigo.
weekend? Did Larry Cohen have compromising photos of him?
I know.
Because,
How did he get him?
It was wonderful. I mean, it really took this movie up a notch. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and think about this. What are some of his other movies that he's done?
Harryhausen.
What?
Harryhausen movies.
Well, yeah, he did some of those, but I was actually thinking about North by Northwest, Citizen Kane.
The ones that won major Academy Awards.
It's Alive 2.
It's Alive 2 that just used the same music as It's Alive 1.
Taxi Driver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, and I mean, his music, he did Journey to the Center of the Earth. But yeah, he did. He did the update of Cape Fear.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think about this. I mean, he was quite the movie. The movie sound, or I'm starting to say soundtrack, but really what I mean is movie score master.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
oh man, it's just you called it when you brought that music out, and it sets the tone. And I think the opening credits, that to me, that was just a really well done opening credits scene, because you don't know what's going on
until the very end.
Exactly. At the very end of the movie, it makes sense.
Absolutely.
And I was watching it, and I was just like, wow, this is what this is. And it tied back in.
This movie, if you take the individual parts of this movie are so wonderful. And again, it's better than it has no right to be. But if you take certain ones like the leads, John Ryan, Sharon Farrell, the music, the special effects, certain ideas regarding the environment, ecology, chemicals. I mean, this is a very fertile ground. And
Frankenstein.
Frankenstein. I definitely want to bring that out later too. This is a movie that they made for $500,000, and it made 7.1, and that was even re-releasing it. So, I mean, Larry Cohen almost, in spite of himself, did a wonderful movie.
No, and I think that's sort of a good way to put it. But at the same time, I really do feel like the movie, it earned it, because it was a good concept on top of all the good acting and everything else. And by the way, was I the only person that sort of did a double take when Michael Ansara shows up?
Balding Michael Ansara?
A balding Michael Ansara.
I was shocked.
I actually paused the film and went and looked it up on IMDb to make sure that was Michael Ansara.
Because I remember him, from Star Trek, as, I think it's Kang in Day of the Duff or something like that.
Yeah.
He did like 3 of them.
I was shocked to see, hey, Michael, you got 20 minutes? You can be the captain of police in this movie. Just stand there and say this line. And I was just flabbergasted that was him.
Yeah, and it also told me that in every movie that I remember him from, he had to be wearing a toupee.
Yes.
Or a wig, because that was the big thing. I was just, what? Where's his hair?
Mm-hmm.
And okay, you thought of that of Star Trek. I couldn't help but think of all the movies that he did with William Girdler. Because I'm a big William Girdler's the guy who did, Day of the Animals, Grizzly, and Michael Ansara shows up in the Manitou and in Day of the Animals, both times playing a Native American. Which
I was going to say, wasn't he known for playing Native Americans? He kind of got pushed into that corner with various Westerns and things of that nature. Yeah.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. He was constantly playing a Native American, which was kind of funny because, he was Middle Eastern.
Mm-hmm.
So, he was born in Syria. But in the 70s, we weren't that picky.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, well, we'll just, hey, his skin's slightly tan and he's got the dark hair, which is apparently a wig. We'll go ahead and make him the Native American shaman and all these.
Mm-hmm.
But loved it.
He had hair when he was younger.
Well, okay.
So did Sean
fine.
Connery.
Yeah.
At
so
some
did
point
I.
They lost him. We just don't know when.
Well, okay, you've brought up the leads. Let's talk about those guys for a second. So we got John P. Ryan.
Yes, as Frank.
Yeah.
And he was wonderful. I just could not see anyone else in this role. And, I had to look him up because he's one of those faces that you see, like I recognize him from somewhere, but he was in like 5 Easy Pieces, King of Marvin Gardens, Future World, a favorite, The Right Stuff,
Hey, he was the principal in 3 O'Clock High,
mm-hmm.
which was one of my favorite 80s movies. And that's the one I remember him from most. But also, I swear, wasn't he the warden in Runaway Train?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, he's had some really heavy-hitting roles.
But this was just so good because usually in movies like this, there's not a lot of what us novelists would call character growth. But you see him wearing his emotions on his sleeve when it comes to this. In the beginning, he's like, kill it with fire. And at the end, there's kind of this, acceptance of the child as his own that he's been kind of working toward during the 90 minutes. And he's just so good. He and Sharon Farrell both are heads above anyone else acting in this movie. Heads above.
See, I didn't like either of them.
All right.
I really didn't like either of them. Sorry, it probably has to do with I did not like the character that he played, Frank Davis, the husband.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay, well, there was a lot to not like about that guy.
Absolutely.
Right.
But is that a strength or a weakness?
Of what?
Of the character itself.
Well, yeah, I mean, but I think the fact that I didn't like the character itself, and then I wasn't really impressed with his acting. He didn't seem, I just, in fact, I would have turned it off at the beginning if it wasn't for the fact that we had to watch it. Because I really didn't like his acting. And then she came in and she was like, oh my, have you had acting lessons? Do you talk? Can you move? I really, really didn't like either of them.
Oh my.
Yeah. Wow.
I like the baby.
I do think that Ryan has a weakness when he's trying to be likable or he's trying to be light, because, remember at the beginning, he's talking to the Irish or Scottish nurse, the wee kitties and the wee babies or whatever. Yeah. And I had no idea some of the dialogue that Cohen wrote was so stream of consciousness or just plain nonsense that I would rather blame the screenwriter because, as we know, it all starts on the page. Let's blame the screenwriter and Ryan, he's a good actor. But when he's looking at the page, he's like, how the hell do I deliver this?
Yeah, maybe that's what I got like sort of just somebody in limbo that was just sort of wandering around.
Well, and I have to say, okay, he's one of those guys that he plays bad guys, he plays serious guys very well. Mm-hmm. You said when he's trying to be likable, there's just something. Yeah, it's like he's a serial killer trying to hide at a church summer camp.
Well, that actually worked because I didn't like his character, and that was probably part of it. That I got that feeling that he was like a serial killer.
Yeah, the whole we couldies and the we cubs. It was like, did Cohen give him enough leash to like ad lib some of this, or just kind of wander through and say random things?
I don't know,
because the
Cohen
script could have been tightened up a lot better. But I think he and Sharon Farrell, I mean, she's kind of a textbook case of someone losing their dang mind over the course of 90 minutes. And I thought she was wonderful because when I get uncomfortable watching someone go through that, I think it's very well done. And I think the rapprochement at the end of the movie where Frank and Lenore actually come back together after the death of the child, so well done. So well done. So, you know, I'll let Mary have her opinion. We'll just agree to disagree on that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to side with Bill on this one, Mary, but I think when, especially Lenore, because as you know, Bill was saying, she kind of loses her mind in it, but I also just get the feeling, okay, watch that whole opening scene when she's like, "Oh, Frank, it's time." And you know, he gets up and it is so 70s machismo, this whole different era of how a man is supposed to be. And so she's in there having contractions, and he's in the walk-in closet figuring out which suit and tie to wear to the hospital.
Because, you know, you have to cut a nice figure in the waiting room because this was before men were in the labor and delivery room, right?
Yeah.
They were out chain smoking and playing poker and trying to get gumballs out of machines and that whole scene, you know, but you're so right. But this is kind of, you can see he went in at the beginning and then they showed him out and took him to the waiting room. So I think as time will pass, we'll get more men being in the delivery room for the entire process. But again, this is, you know, part of this movie's theme, I think, is change. And, you know, from the old ways to the new ways, is it good? Is it bad? You know, are we playing with nature here? You know, the chemicals, remember there's the exterminator, roaches. It just created a new breed of roach. And that's
harder to kill. Yeah.
That's hard to kill. And so then we learn about, you know, Lenore being on this experimental birth control. And then, we've made a baby that's hard to kill. So the parallels are wonderful, but the execution is you know, it's a C+ to B- movie for sure.
If she's on birth control, how did she get pregnant? It was really bad birth control.
Okay.
Well, they decided to go off of it because
she decided to have a baby, so she stopped taking it.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
But I think what's implied there is that whatever chemical was in it that was stopping the birth was actually building up in her system, and when it didn't stop the birth, it supercharged the baby, you know. And again, it's one of those things where they're going through the delivery scene and all that, and they don't show you anything, but the doctor's just like, "Oh, this is unusual. Huh. Look at that. Huh. How about that? Oh, we just cut you. Are you okay? You're having a big baby." And, you know, Lenore's there, and they've drugged her to high heaven, you know, because this was back when, you know, having a baby meant they'll just shoot you up with so many drugs you won't know what's going on. And I'm watching this film with Fiona, and there's a lot of stuff that they did during the delivery even that isn't so much, it's sort of looked at now like, wow, this was kind of the dark ages of modern medicine delivering babies. Because at one point he goes, "Bring me the forceps."
And he cut her, you know, did, you know, "Did you feel that? I just cut you." And then they grabbed the forceps immediately. I guess it's a breech birth. But, you know, I expected the doctor to come in, you know, chain smoking a cigarette, and it's like, "Here, just put this gown on and I will be in and out and back on the golf course in 10 minutes. But definitely. But I was going to bring up also, if people know the case of thalidomide, the chemical that was given in thalidomide babies, there's also a parallel to be drawn there, just taking it out to its worst possible conclusion.
Well, and weren't they using, and you have to forgive me, I didn't look it up for what they were using thalidomide for, but wasn't it something like a nerve drug, like to calm people down?
It was for morning sickness.
Morning sickness, that's what it was. I knew that was the one because, and you're familiar with that, right, Mary?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, with the I can't even say it, thalidomide babies. Yeah, thalidomide. And, that was something Fiona brought up, too, while we were watching the film. And, man. And you watch her character, though, and she sort of goes through this whole denial, this whole...
Absolutely.
Stay on these drugs. The doctors give her lots of drugs to keep her in a nice, even, happy state, because, have a Valium, mother's little helper. Well, in this case, have 3 or 4 mother's little helpers because your other little helper's a psycho monster killer baby. So, oh, man.
And this was also, you can tell it was the era before HIPAA because John's driving home from the hospital and, they just kind of announce his name and his address over the local Los Angeles radio. And he's like, they named us. They named us.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was just a different time.
Over
yes, he did. He did. Leisure Suit Larry fired him big time. Just to have his stuff boxed up.
And okay, I'm going to play this clip because this bit of dialogue that I'm going to play when he's being fired by his boss. And bear in mind, Frank works at a public relations agency.
Yes.
So talk about the worst possible job ever to have a big public relations nightmare, And
to be fired by Dean Stockwell's brother.
Yeah, Guy Stockwell. Oh, my God. But, Guy Stockwell, he says something, and I'm going to play it now, that I just can't believe.
You've accrued 3 weeks vacation.
Yeah.
You think it'd be a good idea if you took it now?
I can't, Bob. Got the Marcus account and the Sturbridge campaign. I'm just bogged down in work. Besides, I need to work, Bob. It keeps my mind off things.
But Frank, we're running a public relations business here. Our job is creating an image. Right now, you're a little controversial. Our clients want their PR men to be anonymous. Maybe after a little while, when you're a little less of a celebrity.
You're not taking those accounts away from me, are you? Not now. Last minute?
These things happen, Frank. Look, O'Connor's down in accounting. He's got a retarded kid. Insists on keeping him in the house, too. Well, nobody thinks a thing of that. Nobody blames him.
We're not talking about a retarded kid. And you know it. And we're talking about a monstrosity of some kind.
Yeah, well, maybe we better not talk about that, huh?
Yeah, so that's a sensitive boss if I ever heard one. And I have to bring this up. My mom was deputy director of the Department of Mental Health for the state of Kentucky in the 1970s. And that particular set of dialogue and that particular set of attitudes was not that uncommon in the
not at all.
US at that time. And we've matured somewhat as a race of humans, I guess. But we're still not where we need to be, I don't think.
Fingers crossed.
But at least we're not in and they let him live in the house just like a regular human. My God.
We don't feed it with a slingshot, but
yeah. Well, and what I think they're really alluding to there is, and this was what I learned talking to my stepdad about it, because he also worked for the mental health department in the 70s. And, the thing that I learned was most of the time the kids like that were institutionalized.
Mm-hmm.
The family didn't want to deal with them. It was a big stigma. And so they would just institutionalize them and make them a ward of the state.
And this was still the era of lobotomies.
Oh, yeah.
So, out of sight, out of mind, scramble your eggs a little bit and you become a lot more docile. All we have to do is kind of feed you and, bathe you occasionally and, collect the money.
Back in those days, too, they didn't have the infrastructure to take care of kids like that.
Yeah.
They didn't have the mental health facilities to help the parents. They didn't have the state institutions set up to give people money and to give them help and, doctors and nurses and,
Oh, it was a different time, absolutely.
Institutionalized the babies was because the parents couldn't handle the physical problems that they were going to have to deal with and the mental problems. And they didn't have things set up to help the parents do stuff like that. So they just gave up the babies. That's just the way it was in the 70s, the same way as most men had that same attitude as the father did in the 70s. And, most of the women acted the same way as this woman did in the 70s.
Well, Lenore has a real journey, from a storytelling perspective, because she, even from the very beginning, she knew something was wrong.
Yeah.
It's almost like the second or third line in the movie that something is wrong. And she vacillates back and forth,
But she's docile because that's the way you were in the 70s.
Absolutely. You didn't, you didn't talk out.
Husband.
But she, she's feeling guilty. She's like, it's not ugly, and, then the nurse comes in and tries to tape record her for, TMZ or a current affair or whatever. And, I felt for Lenore. She was really trying to hold it together. She's offering the professor and the doctor, lamb chops and a nice Beaujolais or something like that. She's really hanging by a thread this entire movie. And I think that the interplay between her and Frank, they're both trying their dang best. And I think that, again, I cannot say that the acting was so good just for a movie.
No, and I'd agree. And I think, there were a couple of bits, and you talk about, okay, she had her reaction, which was trying to be the perfect homemaker to kind of show that nothing was wrong. There's nothing wrong with us. Look, I'm a perfect homemaker. I'll make you pork chops. We'll do this. We'll get the wine, blah, blah, blah. There's that. And then on the opposite side, you've got Frank, who's, as you said, his first reaction is, kill it, burn it with fire, do whatever you want. And he also goes through a thing of just, that's not my baby.
Oh,
that's not mine.
They definitely wanted to distance, he's like, when all this is over, I can come back to my job, right? No, they're having your shit boxed up right now. But they back and forth, they both kind of unraveled, but they do come together at the end over this, quote, baby. This is their son. He's like, it's a boy. It's a boy. He's not going to hurt anybody. He's injured. I mean, he even shoots his own son. He shoots the baby, and, Charlie, the good-natured neighbor who watches their son for the movie, gets a throat full of baby claw. But I also thought it was very interesting that Chris, this is for their son. He's just kind of a gentle, happy-go-lucky kind of guy, and he's the first one to actually, besides Lenore, he immediately comforts it because he wants to see the baby, even from the very beginning of the movie. When can I see the baby? When can I see mom? Tell me if I'm gonna have a little brother or a little sister. He is the first one to unconditionally, from the very beginning, even after seeing what the child looks like, to accept it and try to calm it down and try to,
He's the
bring
innocent.
it into the family.
He's the innocent, like the little girl with the daisy and Frankenstein at the lake.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's a good way to put it. And I will take it a step farther. He still is forgiving. I mean, you really see that this kid is bonded with his cat.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, one of the things that happens is, another spoiler alert.
Yeah.
The mutant baby kills the cat.
Yeah.
And, Chris finds it. But at the same time, he's like, oh, I've got to protect my little brother. I've got to comfort him. And that was a great scene. And, you brought up, Mary, Frankenstein.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to play another clip. This is one where I really think the clips from the movie do it justice. So I'm going to play this clip here of Frank talking about Frankenstein and Frankenstein's monster.
It seems that out of every tragedy, out of every evil, some good can come if we only apply ourselves.
Suppose that's going to be in all the medical journals, the history books, huh? The Davis child, the Davis monster. It's like Frankenstein.
In my opinion, this will be remembered long after each of us is forgotten.
When I was a kid, I always thought the monster was Frankenstein. Karloff walking around in these big shoes grunting. I thought he was Frankenstein. Then I went to high school and I read the book, and I realized that Frankenstein was the doctor who created him. Somehow the identities get all mixed up, don't they?
One must not allow oneself to be impressed by escapist fiction. You forgot one. Pen.
Frank, darling? Hi, darling.
Mrs. Douglas, I don't suppose you took the pills I gave you. You really should,
Maybe it's all the pills I've been taking over the years that brought this on.
You really shouldn't be downstairs.
Maybe you'd both like to have dinner with us. I have some wonderful lamb chops in the refrigerator.
No, I'm afraid not.
Honey, why don't you go down the basement and get a bottle of that nice Beaujolais? Won't that go nicely with the lamb chops? We have quite an extensive wine cellar. It's one of Frank's many hobbies. My husband's a many-faceted man.
I'll show these gentlemen to the door.
Okay, so, this was a really powerful little scene where he's comparing Frankenstein and the reputation that came from creating the monster, and how the name, nobody thinks Frankenstein's monster. They think the monster is Frankenstein. And yeah.
So his name will now be associated with the monster.
And they really bring it on home at the very end. It's very subtle, but Frank is holding his injured child. He has wrapped it in his trench coat. He is walking down the side of the ravine. The cops have surrounded him. He's pleading with for his child's life. Lenore is watching them. She's been brought up in the police car. And the cops cannot wait to blow this kid away. But what Frank does, he does not, what does he do? He throws it to the doctor. He throws it to the creator. And that brings the Frankenstein theme home, because basically now you have the monster and its creator both dead at the end of the movie. And it's so smart and it's so subtle, you'll miss it if you're not looking for it. But that is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I also think that's one of the reasons that 11-year-old Nick didn't appreciate this movie as much as, adult Nick does, because it's a more subtle, it's a more plot-driven movie. And part of that's by necessity, because Rick Baker did a great job with the effects for the mutant baby.
Absolutely.
But let's face it, it was only a great job based on low-budget 1974 standards. Yeah. And they kind of knew that. So the less time they spent looking at the mutant baby and the more time they spent faking out its horrible actions or talking about how horrific it is to build that up in the viewer's mind, the better.
Absolutely, because we've been joking about mutant baby physics. Could you imagine how much you would be distracted if you actually had like a CGI or some sort of, baby that would crawl, like a Bruce the Shark type situation?
Yeah.
Could you imagine how it would take you out of the film? You would be less horror and more, for lack of a better word, comedy, where you're seeing just how ridiculous this looks. But because they frame the photography, they're using shadows. You see a glint of an eye. You see a vein. You see just a bit of a fang. You see just these little snapshots of the baby, and your brain, being kind of a connection-making machine, connect the dots so you can visualize exactly what the baby looks like. But because you don't see it, that's the power of this film. Plus you get, blurry baby cam. But it's that again, it's something else that really, I think, sets this movie apart, especially for 1974, because Carpenter's Halloween, which we all idol, that's one of my favorite movies ever. That's what, 1978?
Yep.
That's years from now. So I think we really need to give Cohen, because he was the one-trick pony with this. He wrote, directed, and produced it, right?
Yeah.
So, damn, brother. For someone who, like Mary said, was known for blaxploitation films and really lower budget, lower quality films, I think he was kind of fighting above his weight class on this one, and he did a good job.
No, he did. And, I think you brought up a good point about that. He wasn't known for this kind of film.
Mm-mm.
He was heavy in the blaxploitation area, but it's funny because after this, he goes on and does a bunch of horror movies. And, he does things like, he did It Lives Again, which was the sequel.
Mm-hmm.
But he also did, a horror comedy called Full Moon High, which I'm not a huge fan of, but it's worth checking out because it's kind of what I call the forgotten fourth werewolf movie from 1981. It's like, oh, okay. But, he would go on. He did Q the Winged Serpent, which is a very good movie. I enjoyed that one a lot. He did The Stuff from 1985.
Oh, God, I remember The Stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and, that was a movie that wasn't great, but it had a lot of potential. And it was a good concept, too. And he also, he went back and did It's Alive 3 because, hey, Return to the Well, you got to make that money. But he did Maniac Cop and 2 of the sequels to Maniac Cop. Good on him for being, being the writer on all these and the director for most of them. He really started building his horror chops up with this.
Yeah.
And, he did some good stuff.
And I hope that the listeners will really give this a try. If they haven't seen it, I hope they will seek it out, because it's one of those gems that really has, pieces of gold buried in the silt at the bottom of the river. There's really just nice little touches. Some of the dialogue is very flat. The people that they surround John P. Ryan and Sharon Farrell with are useless at best. Michael, I'm sorry, he just wandered on the set at the wrong time when they put a walkie-talkie in his hand or something. But it really is the story of this marriage. Because again, they're talking about abortion. This is 1974, people. So these are the things that they're talking about. The ecology. There was I was 14 years old at the time, and I remember a very strong ecology movement at the time. This is when they first started talking about these things and talking about, well, are we actually possibly poisoning ourselves with these chemicals that we're putting in the water? And it's kind of an awakening of consciousness. And Larry Cohen, to his credit, kind of started putting the pieces together. And he's like, I could make a horror movie out of this. And he did a good job.
He exploited it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, you brought up another good point, Bill, because this was the period, the 70s, it kind of kicked off with Soylent Green and Silent Running. And they were two sci-fi films, but they both were really dark visions of what was going to happen to the Earth if we weren't careful. And then, you would go on and, some people would say Jaws fits into this category because you had the giant shark that represented nature striking back. And I mean, the 70s was really the heyday for this kind of movie.
Absolutely. And, there was like, the Manitou. There was like a flood of like nature, food of the gods, kind of nature gone awry, as opposed to like Them or the giant mantis or the deadly mantis, not just a giant bug movie, but it was more man against nature against man, where it was, the chicken has come home to roost, right? This is what you have done. Actions have consequences. These are the consequences.
Well, and you brought up, because Mary brought up Them earlier when we were talking about locations, and you talk about movies like Them or The Beginning of the End with the giant grasshoppers, films like that from the 50s. Generally, the focus was, hey, look, the atom bomb, nuclear weapons, nuclear power is going to cause these mutations. But then you move into the late 60s and then into the 70s, and it's not so much nuclear bombs. It's not nuclear power. It's just the way we treat the Earth in general. And a lot of these films, some of them, like you brought up Food of the Gods or, or the Manitou, it's stuff where nature's actively fighting back. But you look at films like Grizzly, I'm digging deep in the William Girdler, lexicon.
The cinematic universe there.
The cinematic universe of Bill Girdler, but Day of the Animals, Kingdom of the Spiders.
Kingdom of the,
films like that, the animals just go bonkers. There's not, there's not radiation necessarily involved. I mean, Day of the Animals, they tried to blame it on the hole in the ozone layer because that was a big news item back in the back in the 70s. So, but all of this, it's really timely and thematic.
And it's another thing that if you blinked, you missed it. There's a brief conversation where an executive from the birth control company comes and actually talks to the doctor. He's like, well, right now this is a police problem, but it's going to become, after they kill it, it's going to become an us problem, a medical problem. And, he's like, well, we really can't have this getting out, that she's been taking this birth control. And, you've had a really good career. We just have an opening on our board of directors. And I'd really like to put you forward to this. So this is also the beginning of lobbying, big pharma, again, very timely in then and now, where you've got, it's basically a corporatocracy now, but it's that kind of, well, nobody needs to find out about this. This is between us, so what if our chemicals cause, fanged, clawed babies? Let's just sweep this under the rug and we'll get you that board of directors job. So
exactly,
again, another nice touch.
And I like that bit, and that was the executive, and that's how he's credited, and that was Robert Emhart, and he's very recognizable for playing exactly that kind of swarmy character.
Yeah.
But you also had Andrew Dugan, who was the professor.
The professor. I like there's the doctor, the executive, the producer. They didn't have names. It was just like and I think that's also Cohen kind of tipping his hand there too. These people don't deserve names. They're just extras. The only people who really have names are Frank, Lenore, Chris, Charlie, right? The family, the immediate family, they have character names.
That's true. I hadn't noticed that. And and again, it goes to the professor wants the mutant baby to study. Executive,
don't put too many bullets in it. We got to study.
Yeah. And the executive's like, okay, we need to blow it up. we need to make sure there's nothing left.
evidence.
Maybe if we can burn it, something like that. And one last bit I want to say before I do the synopsis is I love the scene where the professor's there and he's offering Frank, he's like, okay, we're going to give you $100,000 for the rights to the baby's body.
Mm-hmm.
And they never... This was what struck me, and I actually looked at Fiona for this, and I said, really, they just did that? They never consulted the mother.
No. She's too busy having a breakdown. The men are talking, remember?
Because the men are talking.
It was the three men in the living room, and she's running around in her Overlook Hotel moo-moo, trying to, keep her shit together. And it's there's definitely not a misogynistic, but a somewhat sexist tone to this,
both.
And John and Frank is part of it. Frank is part of it. He's like, we're going to, it's his wife, but it's like, I'm the man and I'm, the men are talking, dear. It's the perfect, mansplaining type thing, but you're absolutely right.
Yeah, and she's going to make them pork chops while they're deciding the fate of her child. All right. Well, is there anybody else or anything else we want to bring up before I do the synopsis?
I think that's it. I think we've hit the high points of what I really liked about this movie.
Do what, Mary?
The friend.
Charlie.
Why'd they have to kill
Charlie?
I
Well,
was real upset
they had
that
to kill Charlie.
I actually thought that he was going to accidentally shoot Chris.
Yeah, I thought that too for a bit.
That would have been a real gut twister. I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily a missed opportunity from a screenwriting perspective, but it sure would have made for a very different movie.
Yeah. No, that would have been
lose one son, lose another son. Yikes. Yeah.
Yeah. That would have been okay. The best way I could say it is that would have been too much. I think even for a dark film, that would have been like, whoa, we didn't just go there, did we?
Yeah.
But no, going back to what you said, Mary, about Charlie, the next door neighbor, and he wasn't really next door. He was just a friend of the family because he apparently lived pretty far away.
Yeah.
But not
Chris
that
was
far.
a very fast runner to be able to outrun that station wagon when he was making his way back to the house.
Well, I think he inherited that from his, that's where his baby brother inherits his super baby mutant travel through the sewers speed.
It's like the Viet Cong through the tunnels, It's like this baby has a mode of transport that is just above and beyond.
He's hitting the wormholes or something under Los Angeles. But yeah, no, you brought up the fact that Charlie, the friendly neighbor who's taking care of Chris, the kid, and he actually takes Chris and he's got him for like a week.
It seems like it, yeah. He takes him fishing, it's like a surrogate father almost.
Yeah, and this was days before the internet, so basically Frank and, Lenore are just like, yeah, keep him away from the TV and the radio.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want him to know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And, kid doesn't have a smartphone because that's 40 years away, so, they're able to keep him somewhat sheltered from what's going on. But, yeah, I think that the friend had to die.
Why?
Just because it would have been too neat if he hadn't. Somebody had to die in that scene with the baby down in the cellar, and it was either going to be Charlie who shows up and dies, or it was going to be, as Bill suggested, they could have shot Chris. And I think killing Charlie brings it home to the family, but at the same time, it's not as gut-wrenching as if they killed their firstborn son.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I want to know who reported. Remember when they cornered the baby in the school, where they're kind of putting the pieces together, where we think it knows who its parents are, and because it starts going from location to location, and the cops just, we've cornered it in a nearby school, and Frank gets the phone call meant for the doctor who they think might be there. This is before cell phones, as you mentioned, but it's like there are certain plot holes and logic holes. It's like, okay, who saw this baby? Who reported it to the cops? How did that phone conversation go? And that was the only part where I was just like, now it's very creepy and nobody turns on the lights in the school, just go flick the damn breaker and let's light this place up. But again, the point of view of the baby, and there's certain, like when Frank is in the room and he puts his hand down on the crib to see if it's hot or it's cold, to see if Lenore has been hiding the baby. There are certain touches where it's creepy. It's they're jump scares, sure, but there are just small touches. But who reported that baby? Who saw that thing going into the hospital? It was just it was frankly ridiculous, that part. And you've got all the cops going in riot gear down the hallways, and everybody's got their little pea shooters out and flashlights, and it was kind of jarring and kind of stupid. But there are certain small touches that, from the baby's point of view, the blurring, or the toys. Remember, it was fascinated with toys. There were certain toys it was playing with or something. Yeah. They're just small touches that are so good.
That's when you fell in love with the monster.
Yes, absolutely. It's a baby.
Yeah.
It's not a monster, it's a baby. Yeah. Absolutely. Great point.
And I'd be curious to see what would happen if one of those grew up.
Yikes.
Yeah, yikes. I mean, what is that going to be? Because this thing was very cunning.
It had
and it was very aggressive.
Appetite.
Mm-hmm.
For being that small of a child, it ate
a whole refrigerator full of steaks.
Food. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if it got bigger, it'd be the end of the humanity. It would be like, Godzilla eating everybody.
They would be the new dominant species on the planet pretty quick.
That wouldn't work.
Well,
He
anyway.
had to kill it. Yeah.
So let's talk the plot.
Mm-hmm.
And we've kind of hit pretty much all the major points, so this won't take too long. But, what you got, it's L.A., it's the 70s. You got Dad, Frank Davis, and his wife, Lenore, and they're expecting their second child, and it's the 70s, so, they're smoking while they're driving to the hospital, and they're dropping their son Chris off at their neighbor Charlie's. And Chris is cute. He's about 11 years old, and he's like, I really want to meet my baby brother or sister. And they're like, yeah, you'll meet him later. And they go to the hospital, and it's a bit of a long scene in the hospital. The mom gets wheeled into the delivery room, and the doctors are in there with her. And meanwhile, the dad is out making jokes with the nurse. He keeps going in and looking in the little nursery where they keep the newborn babies. And then he ends up in the room with all the other expectant fathers. And as we touched on earlier, that's when we start getting some of these little foreshadowing hints of what might be going on, because one of the dads to be in there is an exterminator. And he's talking about how, we use these chemicals to kill the cockroaches. And now the cockroaches, they've grown stronger because of the chemicals, and they're harder to kill. And you've got another dad in there, and he's kind of this environmentalist. And he's talking about, how we're poisoning the earth. And then he's getting all mad because the vending machine took his money and whatever. And, the whole time Frank is just, he's being a very 70s dad.
in this. You know, he's very proud that he's produced another child, and he's very excited about it. And the whole time Lenore's in the delivery room, you've got this, hey, something's wrong. That doesn't feel right. The doctors are just like, pshaw, it's fine. Ooh, yeah, how big was your last baby, ma'am? Yeah, this guy's going to be a whopper.
Because women don't know anything.
Yeah.
That's another thing with the 70s. Women didn't know. Even if they were in pain, it was just the vapors, or it was
they were prone to
crazy.
hysteria.
Yes, they were hysterical.
They need to go lie down on the fainting couch immediately.
Exactly. That was a very common way of treating women back then.
Yeah. And, and as we mentioned, the doctor actually cuts her, so they're doing some pretty nasty stuff down there. And they're just like, did you feel that? Oh, good. The drugs have kicked in. You didn't even notice. And it cuts back to the dad in the waiting room. And then he's walking down the hall, and all of a sudden you see one of the the doctors, you kind of get this, oh, the baby's getting ready to come out, and then it cuts away. And the next thing you see is this doctor comes staggering through the door, and his throat's been ripped out. There's blood everywhere. And so Frank immediately runs into the delivery room, and he finds just this scene out of hell. I mean, all the nurses, the doctor, they're all dead. Their throats have been ripped out. Interestingly enough, Lenore is okay. She's just laying there going, where's my baby? Where's my baby? They took my baby. And at first, he thinks somebody's come in and killed these doctors and stolen his baby. And then the police show up, and the other doctors are there, and they're like, look, this umbilical cord was chewed through, and look, this is the only door to the room. There's no way they could get out except by that little vent. And no adult could fit through that. And so they start piecing it together that it was the baby that killed everybody, and this was some sort of weird thing. And can I just say, it was remarkable how fast they went from the baby's been kidnapped to you and your wife had a mutant killer baby and we must destroy it immediately. I mean, there was no stop and go and collect $200. It was just zip right on through that red light. So, and, as we talked about earlier, Frank is on board with that because he is very unhappy that his wife has had a mutant baby, and he distances himself. It's not my baby. My wife's baby was a mutant. I wouldn't have produced such a thing. My sperm is magically perfect, and there's no DNA altering in there.
Well, he did refuse tests, remember, because they wanted to run tests on Frank. And he's like,
oh, yeah.
No,
Yeah, why test me? I'm not going to, no. But, and at the same time, the doctor who prescribed the contraceptive pills that we talked about, he's the one that gets contacted by the executive from the pharmaceutical company. And that executive's like, yeah, it may have been caused by our drugs, but we better just make sure that body's destroyed, and then there won't be any liability for the company. Oh, and as you know, there's a position open on the board, and we're looking to fill it with somebody just like you, doctor, as long as we don't have to deal with this mutant baby. Well, meanwhile, we have that delightful scene where Frank goes back to work at the PR company and gets explained to about how, hey, we understand some people even let their special needs children live in the house with them.
I guess that firm doesn't have a diversity officer, or the diversity officer was off that particular day.
Yeah, I'm going to say the diversity officer was off that day. And, there was a lot going on in that firm. I mean, it's just like, wow. But anyway, so needless to say, Frank and Lenore have become celebrities because, oh, yeah, there's no such thing as HIPAA. The hospital just releases the name of the parents and says, hey, Frank and Lenore Davis had a mutant killer baby that's going around Los Angeles killing everybody. You guys should really ostracize them now and go. And so they've got that going on. He loses his job. One of the laboratory sends over a professor who offers him of $100,000, which $100,000 is a lot of money today. In 1974, $100,000 would be akin to offering him a couple of million. You know, they were offering him a lot of money for the rights to the body of the child. And all the while, Lenore is kind of zoning out, and she's kind of trying to go through the motions like everything's normal. She's been prescribed a lot of drugs by the doctors, and for a while she's taking them. At the same time, they're telling their buddy Charlie to keep their son Chris out of the limelight, keep him away from the house, don't let him watch the news, take him fishing up in the mountains, whatever. But, you know, Chris wants to see his new baby brother, and he's very determined. And when he gets back to town, he kind of sneaks away and heads over to the house. Well, meanwhile, the police are searching everywhere. The baby is killing everybody it comes into contact with. And, you know, apparently it's eating just pounds and pounds of meat whenever it can. But I will note that it never ate any of its victims, or at least if it did, they didn't really explicitly say that. So the baby may be a killer, but it's not a cannibal. But anyway.
It's supposed to be scared. That's why it's doing that.
I think so. I think that's a good point. The baby was reacting. Either, you know, I mean, it got the go-go dancer first, or, you know, there's a lot of go-go boots and fringe. And so I think there's a bit of humanity, for lack of a better word, in the baby. You know, it's scared. It's frightened. Even Lenore, I think she brought that up. You know, it's out there alone. It's cold. It's, you know, it can't. Well, they even said, well, it can't survive it on this. So, well, hold my beer. You know, I think it'll be okay.
But so the baby, as they mentioned, you know, it's kind of slowly making its way to their house too. That's the other thing. It manages to find the school where Chris goes to school. And I don't know, I'm thinking it must be tracking them by smell, or, you know, maybe, I think actually it just read the script, so it kind of knew where to go. But whatever the case, the baby eventually finds its way to their house. Lenore stops taking the drugs that she's been prescribed and is actually hiding the baby down in the basement. So she's trying to protect it. Frank wants it destroyed. You know, they have this big clash. Chris, the son, shows up, and he, as you mentioned, he is like trying to protect the baby. Frank is having none of it. He actually shoots the baby and wounds it. But it gets away, and it kills Charlie in the process, because Charlie was coming to try and find where Chris went, and whoops, well, you had that. But at that point, the baby manages to escape down into the sewers. And, you know, the dad is still playing along that he is on the side of the police and wants to capture, or not capture, but kill this monster baby. There's not a whole lot of talk about bringing it in alive for study. It's all, let's kill it. And
right. The cops are kind of out for blood, because I think in the previous scene, the school, didn't they carry a cop out, and then it killed another one?
It killed a couple
so
of cops.
The thin blue line was kind of thin by that time when it comes to that baby.
Yeah, but they were still wanting to kill it anyway. I mean, but it just went even further once it had killed a cop or two. And, you know, I don't know the final body count on this film, but I'm going to say it probably killed 8 or 9 people over the course of the movie. Well, actually more than that, because there were 5 or 6 bodies in the delivery room. So it probably killed an even dozen at least. And, you know, but as Frank is going through the sewers, because the police give him a rifle and they let him go into the sewers, and their idea is, hey, you know, this thing did make its way to his house. Maybe it's attracted to him. And now that he shot it, maybe it'll come and try and seek some revenge. We can use Frank as bait. So, you know, they put him in the sewer with all the cops. But when he finds the baby, he has this moment where he's going to shoot it, and he just can't. And he ends up cuddling the baby, putting it in his jacket, and telling it it's going to be okay. And he tries to get it out of the sewer, but there's just too many cops. They show up with Lenore, and, spoiler alert, they end up killing the baby, but not before Frank throws it at the executive from the pharmaceutical company.
No, it's the doctor.
Was it the doctor? Yeah, that's right. It was the doctor. But he threw it at him, and, that's it. And what I think is funny is you could take it that he threw the baby at him as kind of an attack, but the police were just like, oh, okay, well, you and your wife can go. It's like, oh, okay. But as they're driving off, a report comes in. Another one's been born. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Time for the sequel. And as a matter of fact, there were 2 sequels. And in 2009, they did a remake that Larry Cohen got credit for writing. I don't know if he was the only writer on it, but he definitely got credit for writing the sequel, too.
Did you see any of those?
I did not see any of the sequels because, remember, when I first saw this movie as about 11-year-old Nick, I thought it was kind of dull. And so I wasn't attracted to see it. This was a stage where I was much more, okay, let's do Friday the 13th style where it's just kill, kill, kill. Couple of teens have sex. Kill, kill, kill. Couple of teens have sex, and on and on.
Well, it was also a couple of years before the second one came out. So this was 1974. I think the sequel came out in 1976.
Yeah,
and
that was 78,
there was,
actually,
1976. We had Jaws. Then we had something called Star Wars.
Yeah, those were out. Yeah,
just little movies. I'm sure no one's heard of.
Nobody knew those.
It definitely wasn't on my radar. The first one is the only one that I've seen. I have the second one queued up to watch. It's got Frederick Forrest, of all people, in it. And it looks like it has a good cast. There's some recurring people. The professor is back. Frank is back. John Ryan is back for a brief moment in the movie. But, this kind of went off my radar once certain other movies came out. I think I went from horror to science fiction pretty fast.
Yeah. I could see that. So do you want to see the sequel, Mary?
No.
Come on.
I didn't think so.
I'll come back. I'll come back for It's Alive 2.
No, you have to pick a different movie.
All right.
All right. In that case, we'll do It's Alive 3, Island.
There you go. We'll do the reboot.
Now, Mary, you have done your It's Alive duty, so you don't have to watch anymore.
You get a gold star.
You do. You get
smiley face.
Get 2 gold stars and a smiley face.
And I get to drink the rest of that bottle of wine.
There you go.
All right. Well, I think it's time for a little bit of feedback at this point. So.
And it is feedback time. And before I go any further, I want to thank Randall Wells for being one of our newest contributors to the B Movie Cast. We really appreciate all of your support out there. And let's see, our first feedback is from Gary. Oh, by the way, Nick had to leave, so it's just Bill and I here doing feedback together.
Reunited, and it feels so good.
The first one's from Gary Genjon from Germany. He says his answer was Dawn of the Dead, 1978. He says IMO, much better than the remake. And then he says, so Nick finally convinced you to watch Xanadu. My condolences. And that's exactly how I feel about it too.
We'll see what we can cook up for episode 600 that will inflict even more pain upon you, I guess.
Well, thank you, Bill.
You're welcome.
Okay, this next one is from Brenda McNeil. Let's see. She just got back from the Mid-Atlantic Convention, and she was there with Kim Turk. They had a table together and did a good did a good business there. And
that is one of my bucket list conventions, the Mid-Atlantic Nostalgia one.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Steve Turek is constantly going to that and showing pictures of all these amazing people.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I'm not in the penal colony of Florida, it's actually closer for me. So I'm definitely going to be hitting that convention here in a year or two.
Yeah.
I'm glad they had a good time.
Yeah, they really tried to talk me into going this year, but I still wasn't comfortable being around giant groups of people yet. So next year. Promise next year, because they have this really, I don't know if they're still doing it, but they used to have like this dinner thing. They'd get together, and like anybody that wanted to that was there, I think you pay a certain amount of money and you get to go to dinner with everybody, and it's
nice.
Sponsored by the Mid-Atlantic Convention. I really want to go to that one.
I think that all of your listeners will be glad to hold you to the promise that you just made in front of all of them.
I'm hoping they forget.
Nick and I will remind them.
Oh, thank you. Okay, let's see. Brenda says, okay, this film has something for everyone. She wants us to do this movie. It's called The Magic Christian. And it's Peter Sellers and Ringo Starr and Richard Attenborough and Leonard Frey and Christopher Lee, Spike Milligan, Raquel Welch. I mean, there's...
What drugs were they on?
It is...
It sounds like The Party, only slightly different.
Yeah, it does look like that. She says, okay, the film has something for everyone. Stars galore, great music, Shakespeare, striptease, isometric exercises, dog shows, and general chaos. More of an experience than a classic story. Please
lie on your back and think of England and just let it wash over you. The Magic Christian experience.
Yeah, this looks like something from the trippy 60s.
Mm-hmm.
Oof. Okay, I'll put it on the list.
Far down the list. Really far down.
The list just keeps growing.
Mm-hmm.
The next one is from Michael Troy Travis. He says, okay. He got a prize. He said, that's awesome. He thanks us. And he hit the big one on the B-Movie Cast. He said he recently met Nick at the Monster Bash, and all he could talk about was how much he loved Xanadu and how Mary was right all the time and how generally awesome she is. Okay, now I know you're lying.
You have fans hidden in mysterious places, Mary. You know that.
Okay, I hope you guys are doing well. I'm looking forward to the next show. Sincerely, Michael. P.S. I've got a great werewolf book sitting on my desk ready to be read. Thanks, Nick. I'm looking forward to a whole load of werewolfy goodness. Oof, yeah, he won one of Nick's werewolf books.
Not to be confused with Wolfie from the Groovy Ghoulies.
No. Or Wolfie from Philadelphia.
Yeah, true.
Which I hope to see soon. Let's see. This next one is... That's an MP3 from Carl.
Ooh, technology.
I know. Let's see. Oops. Here it goes.
Hi, this is Carl from Connecticut. I just wanted to congratulate you on your 500th episode.
Woohoo!
Nice.
Been listening for a long time, man. I just appreciate everything that you do.
Aww.
They're coming out of the woodwork to congratulate you, even as far away as Connecticut.
Righty right there, Mr. Deltoid.
Ooh. And that was a bit from Clockwork Orange. Well, thank you, Carl. I've never heard from you before. Hope to hear from you in the future. Long-time listener. And let's see, the next one is from Scott Works. He says, good afternoon. This week we have Dawn of the Dead from 1978, one of my favorites. I remember when it came out, it did not have a wide release because it didn't have an MPAA rating. Huh. I ended up seeing it at a multiplex in a semi-abandoned shopping mall in Norwalk, California. A very fitting venue that would
kidding.
Be. Wow.
Mary, the verisimilitude is excellent.
Okay, that does look like very strange. He sent a picture of the shopping multiplex.
The more deserted, the better.
Yeah. Oof. Okay. Let's see. Next one is from Nicholas Stumpf. He says, happy 500th episode. Mary and Nic. Sorry I wasn't able to call in, but my life has been so busy with a 16-month-old.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I plan to record a voicemail very soon. Woohoo!
There you go.
Yeah. Listening to the episode now. Clockwork Orange is a favorite of mine. Congratulations on 500, and here's to many more. Sincerely, Nick Stumpf. Well, thank you, Nick. And by the way, we're just getting around to some of the feedback from the 500th episode now.
Do you have a backlog of feedback, Mary?
Yeah, well, we didn't do any on the 501 episode because that was from Steve Vertlieb, and we had put that, I feel so bad. He had a lot of medical issues. He was getting ready to go into the hospital. And we wanted to get that in the can before he went into the hospital. He wanted to get it in the can before he went into the hospital. And unfortunately, it was right in the middle of us doing that 500 countdown, and we couldn't get around to it. So his was very frustrating.
On the Classic Horror Film Board, Steve has been updating folks as to his trials and tribulations. But, he is beloved, and for good reason. So we, even now, Steve, if you're listening, it's Bill. Thoughts and prayers. Please take good care of yourself, sir. We love you very much.
Yeah, he is such a sweetie. He really is. Let's see. Okay, this next one is from Don Falcos. It says, I am working on my computer while listening to episode 500. I just heard my name announced as a winner of a $500 Amazon gift card.
Dang.
I know. I still can't get over that.
That is some serious bank.
Yeah. I've won a lot of prizes over the years, but this one blows me away. Thank you to Twyla and Eric and Mary and Nic, and especially to our beloved Vince for starting this whole thing all those years ago.
Yes.
By the way, in episode 499, I won one of Kenny B. Santito's cool prizes. I would post a picture on Facebook page, but the prize hasn't arrived yet, so I think I did post.
The Santito gift eludes me still.
The problem is he stopped sending them.
I know. It will continue to elude me then.
Yes. We'll just have to keep getting on until he starts again.
I'll send myself a gift and just sign Santito's name to it. To Bill, love, Santito.
Well, anyway, thank you. Really, thank you, Twyla and Eric. That was That's
a big time gift. Absolutely.
I almost fell over when she said.
Not that I'm jealous or anything.
Oh no.
Moving along.
I wanted to put my name in.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if I had won, everybody'd say it was rigged. So.
And it would be.
Mm-hmm.
By the very definition of rigging.
Let's see. Next one is from Patrick Kelly. Says, hi, Mary. Hope all's going well for you and you're enjoying your new car. I am enjoying my new car. I still haven't figured out how all the buttons and bells and whistles work yet, but I am enjoying it. I see that Paul Ruby's one is the winner of the 8-disc Universal Horror Blu-ray box set. I know that was another big one.
Mm-hmm. Very nice.
Let me know if the below address is good for him, and he'll submit the order. Amazon didn't have a gift card option for this item, so if Paul, when you get this and you don't know who it's from...
It's from Santito. It's just random gifts getting sent out. It's like Russian roulette. Let's see what they get. Let's see who it goes to. I don't know.
Sometimes I get confused. No, that was from Patrick Kelly. So, and I know he absolutely loved it. He was really, really looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
And see, Patrick goes on to say, I'm looking forward to a thorough listen of your landmark 500th episode, but I have to rewatch Clockwork Orange first. My log says I last saw it on July 16th of 2012.
Oh, my gosh.
Wow.
He's a spreadsheet person, I betcha.
Wow. I need something like that to keep my life organized.
A log.
I know.
I can't remember what I had for lunch yesterday. I need to log that, with my advanced age catching up to me quickly.
See, my problem is I'd lose a log. Or I wouldn't be able to remember how to get into it on a computer.
They just like napkins and scraps of paper around your desk. You ate this, Mary, on this date. You watched this movie on this date.
I know. Well, I could tell what I ate because it would be on the scrap of paper, probably.
After you wiped your mouth, that was delicious.
Okay, it's been a solid decade since Alex and the Droogs have last gave me nightmares.
There's the name of your next punk rock band,
Yeah,
Alex and the Droogs.
I hope you've been watching good flicks lately. Strangely, two of the most moving movies I've seen recently were not fictional films, but were documentaries. Harvard beats Yale 29-29. It's about the most famous Ivy League football game in which Tommy Lee Jones plays guard for Harvard. Okay. That one would go right over my head because I don't know football.
Sports ball, yeah.
Exactly. And the second one was The Last Play at Shea, about the final music concert at Shea Stadium featuring Billy Joel plus big-time guests. He says, I hate sports, and I'm no Billy Joel fan, but a good movie is a good movie.
That is true. Some good documentaries will really surprise you or reveal another side to that person or the subject matter. Absolutely.
Yeah, that is true. There are moments in both films that drove me to tears. Wow.
Okay, then.
Wow. Didn't Billy Joel just play somewhere? Never mind.
I have no idea.
I know, it's a rabbit hole. Never mind. Here's another surprise I stumbled across: The Gateway from 2021. It's a low-budget neo-noir starring Shea Whigham. Whigham plays a social worker who guides at-risk families through the treacherous waters of drug and alcohol abuse, while he himself struggles with his own drug and alcohol issues. Bruce Dern is outstanding as Whigham's estranged jazz musician father. The Gateway was directed by Michelle Civetta, the ex-son-in-law of Dario Argento.
Dang.
Okay.
I think Bruce Dern alone would be worth the price of admission because when's the last time you saw a Bruce Dern movie, you know?
True. Plus, he would play a drug alcohol abuse person. Yeah.
It's not stunt casting if it's real.
Yeah. Let's see. He goes on to say, I didn't expect much, but the subtle rewards of this film are its rich noir atmosphere and a performance by Whigham that in a bigger budget movie would have garnered him a slew of awards. Take care,
Be patient.
Mary.
He'll keep climbing the ladder. I've heard his name before, but yeah.
Really? Okay.
Couldn't tell you what he's been in, but
Bruce Dern is the jazz musician father. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Take care, Mary. I hear the faint strains of Siri's voice on my iPhone urging me to have a nice long sit down with B Movie Cast 500. Ooh.
Dang, your house notifies you when the new episode appears. That's pretty sweet.
Wow.
Either that or you think you're hallucinating or having a stroke.
That would be me.
Yeah, same here. My house is talking to me. Okay,
these
Grandpa.
Voices,
Okay.
I hear voices.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next one's from Marlo Brown. Hi, Mary, Nick, Juan, and everybody in the B Movie Cast Clubhouse. The answer to the contest is Dawn of the Dead from 1978. I'm sure you'll have plenty of correct answers on this one. I'd be willing to bet it's still in the top 5 of most zombie fans. Though the top position in my list of zombie flicks is Shaun of the Dead, which I consider to be the best horror comedy of all time.
That's a strong argument. My favorite is Day of the Dead. I like the next one coming up in the Romero series. That's a favorite.
I like that love story one. Oof. I just watched it like yesterday.
Oh, to be in love and be a zombie.
The guy's a zombie, and humanity
girl
lives
isn't.
in a giant walled-in city, and a girl sneaks out, and with a group of people, teenagers, and the group gets eaten except her, and the zombie falls in love with her.
Man, that's like the worst version of Romeo and Juliet ever. Romeo eats Juliet, or doesn't eat Juliet to prove his love.
It's a really good movie. What was the name
I
of
will
it?
take your word for it, even though you cannot remember the title.
Oh, okay. I won't remember by the end of this. Okay. Okay, that was an epic 500th episode. Yay, thank you, Marlo. You did one of Vince's favorites justice. I love the style, the acting, and the bat stuff craziness of Clockwork Orange. And when I saw it on video in the 1980s, but now I find parts of it that are hard to watch for me, especially the home invasion scene.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. It's like the older you get and the more horrors of life you see, the harder that movie gets to watch, I think.
It's like you just don't want that in your brain pan sometimes. It's like I saw Clockwork Orange decades ago, of course. But it's me personally, it's not one I feel the need to revisit. It's like, yikes. You know?
Yeah.
That's my old man shaking his fist at the cloud moment for this episode.
Well, I remember seeing it, I think, with Vince when it was out.
That would make sense.
At the theaters, yeah. And again, I was so young that those horrors didn't really hit me as hard as they do now.
Yeah, I think you make a good point. It's like the older you get, you know, you death has entered your life. It's, you know, horrors have entered. You've seen man's cruelty to man. And, you know, the most horror you really want is a gill man walking around on the boat on the
exactly. I think it's why I like those movies so much. I think.
Same. Yeah. It's a nice. You feel them through nostalgia goggles as opposed to some type of torture porn or anything like that.
Yeah, true. Okay, Marlowe goes on to say, I still consider it a masterpiece of filmmaking. However, very true.
Yeah.
I was delighted by the amount of feedback you had for the 500th. And of course, I'm still doing feedback now.
And 501 and 502. We'll get there. You can do it.
Yes. In response to one contributor, I want to state for the record, I, for one, welcome our new Venetian overlords. I miss that guy. Those were great. I remember those. I was rolling on the floor the entire time. I've been watching a wide variety of great films, including the delightful French Dispatch. I love that movie.
Wes Anderson rules.
I know.
Love Wes Anderson.
I know. I can't, and the more I watch them, the more I pick up each and every time.
Yes,
There's so many little things in them.
The wife and I, Amy and I, we love us some Royal Tenenbaums. You know, that's to us that's the high point of Wes Anderson. Now we've watched them all, but we can always go for more Royal Tenenbaums and his family.
I don't know which one I could. Everyone I see, I like better than the last. So
also Moonrise Kingdom, we're big fans of too.
I don't think I saw that one.
Bruce Willis, Bill Murray, you know, the usual cast of characters. You know, the little Boy Scout who runs away with the young girl, and it's Romeo and Juliet, but on Nantucket Island.
Okay.
It's good.
Okay.
Seek it out.
Put it on my list. The never-ending list.
The ever-growing list.
Yes.
I think you could bump Wes Anderson up a bit, though.
Yeah, I know. He goes on to say, while I had trouble with the cruelty in Clockwork Orange, I'm still a big fan of tough guy crime films. I wanted to suggest that y'all could do a great episode around either or both of the two B-movie crime flicks from first-time directors. The first is Quentin Tarantino's Reservoir Dogs. That was one of Vince's absolute all-time favorite movies, and we have a giant poster here in the studio of Reservoir Dogs.
In the Sanctum Sanctorum.
Yeah. I don't know if I could watch it again.
It's brutal. I mean, Tarantino, he came out of the gate swinging with that movie, and I'm a Kill Bill fan. That's kind of where I love me some Tarantino, and I kind of fell off the bandwagon after that. But he's an acquired taste because, a good artist borrows, but a really good artist steals. And, you can see, he wears his on its sleeve. And, Kill Bill is like a love letter to 15, 20 different genres and directors and films. So, But Reservoir Dogs is rough, but it's good. You can't deny that.
Yeah. Okay. Versus Quentin Tarantino's Reservoir Dogs, which was supposed to be a no-budget black and white film, but Harvey Keitel's influence brought more money to the project. It's been copied by a lot of other films, including Quentin's Kill Bill, but Nick and his friend Brian Cunningham could bring a new perspective on what it takes to make a film like that. They could.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The other suggestion is The Way of the Gun, directed by Chris McQuarrie. It has quite a cast, and it features one of the best gunfight sequences in B-movie history. Again, Nick and Brian might have a lot to say about it, and it's one of my favorite tough guy flicks. It also features a great performance by the late James Caan.
Nice.
The Way of the Gun.
I've heard Christopher McQuarrie's name before. I can't remember what he's directed, but he pops up there for sure.
Okay. All for now. Thanks for everything. Bye, Mary. Bye, Marlo, from the haunted borderlands of South Texas.
She went from South Texas. Wow, yeah.
Yeah,
Borderlands
borderlands
is rough
of South
right now.
Texas. Okay, this next one. Okay, this is a two-part piece of feedback from Stan Ward from the Creepy Hills north of Doylestown, and I'm going to play both of them in order, hopefully.
50-50 shot, Mary. 50-50 shot.
Yes.
Hi, Mary, Nick, and Ron. This is Stan from the Creepy Hills north of Doylestown checking in. I just wanted to congratulate you on episode number 500 of the B Movie Cast. It's been a long and great ride, and I hope there's 500 more episodes coming. Vince created a great community here, and it's just a tribute to the man he was, and I miss him, and it's just been so wonderful. I was looking at your website and looking at the archives. I think I pinpointed when I first started listening to the cast. It was actually episode number 11, which was Last Man on Earth, which Vince had did an interview with Aaron from Sci-Fi Dig. I used to listen to Sci-Fi Dig back in the early days of my podcasting, listening to, and that's how I got introduced to the B Movie Cast. Sci-Fi Dig, Aaron used to dissect episodes of a TV show called Babylon 5, which was and still is one of my favorite science fiction
Babylon
shows. But that's how I got involved in the B Movie Cast, and so because I'm a low double-digit guy from almost the beginning, I consider myself a plank owner. What is a plank owner? A plank owner is when a ship is commissioned and goes out on its first cruise. The first crew that is assigned to them call themselves original plank owners. Planks being what they used to cover the decks of ships with. And these guys, because they were the first crew, consider themselves, but anyway, yeah, it's been such a nice thing, and the Big Movie Cast has kind of been like the soundtrack of my life since I started listening to it. It's fantastic. So I'm kind of at a loss for words, partially because it's a little emotional, and partially because after listening to episode 500, I don't think I could top some of the people and their stuff. So anyway, I'll let you guys go, and bye, Mary.
Very nice. Everything he said is absolutely true about Vince and his legacy. So thank you and Nick very much for carrying it on.
Oh, thank you. Okay, this is the second part. Okay, here it goes.
Hey guys, Stan here from the Creepy Hills again. Just wanted to add a few things. One is that I would save old episodes of the B Movie Cast, especially if it was a movie that I really liked, and I would listen to them again if I had nothing new to listen to. I always had an old B Movie Cast I could just listen to over and over again, and I would save them partially for that reason, but also partially if the movie ever was on TV, or if I had it and I wanted to watch it, I would watch it and then listen to the podcast and kind of get new perspective on it and all that kind of stuff. So thanks for all that. It's just fantastic. And one other thing, episode 499, Xana don't.
I agree.
Bazinga, yeah.
Thank you.
You may think Xanadu, but nope, Xana don't.
Xana don't, yeah.
Yeah, you need to put that one in the chamber for future use, Mary.
Yeah. That was a hard one. Okay. Well, thank you, Stan. That was beautiful. Thank you. This next one is from Pete Steema. He said the answer is Dawn of the Dead from 1978. I just downloaded the new episode. Can't wait to listen to it. That's from Pete. And this next one's from Philip Pine. He says, Show 500 was great. Thank you all for the entertainment and education I get from your show. Education?
Boy, I don't think we know what that word means. Education. Maybe entertainment, enlightenment, education. No.
It was fun to hear. I want a movie. I plan on watching it soon. I hope you enjoy your break from doing the show. Take care, Phil Pine. Thank you, Phil. Yes, I did actually enjoy that break. I needed it. Okay, and this is from Michael Troy Travis. He says, Hey, I'm from Pittsburgh. I've been to that mall. Dawn of the Dead. I still think the All Brains place was a good choice for the food court. Was a strong choice for the food court, but to each their own. That would have been the good name for a restaurant at the food court.
Oh, yeah. You could have themed up a couple of different stores.
Yeah, that would have been funny. Okay. Keep up the great show. Cheers, Michael. And let's see. This last one is another one from Marlo Brown. It's about the Steve Vertlieb interview. It says, Hi, Mary, Nick, Juan, and the B-Movie Club members. I just wanted to let y'all know how much I enjoyed the interview with Steve Vertlieb. What an amazing life story. I remember, for example, the Shatner interview, but now I know who really did it. I know Steve knows that many of your listeners, including me, now count him as a friend, albeit a distant one. I'm sorry for the abuse he's received from some petty, immature fans, but I believe that Steve has more friends and fans than he realizes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Some people would not be happy if they were hung with a brand new rope, and we see that in fandom.
Yeah.
And but the good always outnumbers the bad.
That's true. And I really think I really think people were just kind of jealous of him and
could be
just get mean. Yeah.
Yep.
I'd love to talk movies with him someday. We probably won't agree on everything, but I'm sure we'll agree on the types of movies that bring us joy. In response to his list of authors, I thought I'd share mine. J.R.R. Tolkien is his number 1. Robert E. Howard, number 2. 3 is Fritz Leiber. 4 is Hunter S. Thompson. And 5 is H.P. Lovecraft.
Man, they took a left turn at Albuquerque there with the Hunter S. Thompson. I kind of was listening. Yeah. Okay. Yep.
A few more, not in any particular order. Robert Adams, the Horse Clan series. I don't think I ever heard that one.
Mm-hmm.
Dean Eng, Harlan Ellison.
Harlan, yep.
Yeah, Robert A. Heinlein. Yep. Edgar Rice Burroughs. I've never read anything he's done.
I love me some John Carter of Mars.
I've never read that, yeah.
And I also like the movie John Carter, no matter what anyone out there in the universe thinks.
I'm the same way.
Aw.
Okay. And the next one is Tim Powers, who I've never heard of. Okay. And Stephen King. Stephen King, I used to love. I couldn't wait for the next Stephen King novel to come out. And then he wrote Pet Sematary.
Yeah.
And it started freaking me out at the very beginning. Yeah. And then, unfortunately, my mother passed when I was in the middle of reading the book.
Oh, man.
And I ended up throwing the book across the room, and I never finished the book. And I haven't been able to read Stephen
I just
King
read
since.
recently, he just turned like 75 or something like that. And they've been doing interviews with him. And he says Pet Sematary is the one that, not that he has regrets, but it was just kind of over the top. Me, I'm the Stand guy. I love the Stand, and that's kind of my sine qua non when it comes to Stephen King. But he said that Pet Sematary was just one that, maybe he should not have published just due to the graphic content of it.
Yeah, that and the circumstances for me. And Vince read him after that, but I could never pick up another Stephen King novel after that.
Just keep rereading The Stand like I do.
Okay. Thanks again for the wonderful interview. By Mary Marlowe from the steaming haunted borderlands of South Texas. And okay, then he goes on, P.S. I really took a liking to Steve during the interview, from crashing a TV location shoot to spending time with old Blue Eyes. What a story. Looking forward to the next show. In the meantime, I think Sappho is going to grant me some hate cuddling. Oh, and he sent a picture of the cutest little kitty.
Okay, I was going to say, I hope that's his cat.
Yeah,
okay. I don't know where we were going with that one, but okay. Hate cuddling. I hate you, but I'm going to cuddle you.
Yeah, well, that is a cat, though.
It is a cat thing, yes, absolutely.
Well, except mine. She doesn't cuddle at all.
She just hates.
She just hates. Yeah.
She would kill you with her eyes, like just wishes they had laser beams that would come out and cut you down.
Yes, especially if I ignore her when she
But
wants
yet you
treats.
keep feeding her, don't you?
No.
But yeah.
Well, she's got like teeth and claws, so of course
Exactly.
I feed her.
It's like the old Tasmanian devil where it starts spinning and you just see the occasional hand or claw or snarl come out of it.
That's exactly. You haven't met Kitty, but I think you have. Yeah, she's got nice sharp claws. Which reminds me, I got to make a vet appointment and get her nails clipped soon.
Glad we could do that. Glad we could help.
Okay, that's it for the feedback, and I thank you for sticking with us and doing the feedback with me, Bill.
You're welcome, always. Just give me a call. You know where I am.
Yeah, right next to Nick up
Nick.
there in Kentucky.
Not in a hate cuddling sort of way, but yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess that's it. So, thank you.
You're welcome. Bye, Mary.
Bye-bye.
Okay, and wow, thanks for all the feedback. We really appreciate it. We haven't gotten to this because we didn't do it for episode 501. So we appreciate all the support, folks.
Yes.
Thanks.
Yes.
All right.
you.
And Bill,
And
thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you both very much. This is one of my bucket list podcasts. I've been on the Classic Horrors Club with Rich and Jeff a couple of times, but I just had to beg Nick and Mary enough and make sure that my check's cleared to get on the show. I hope people enjoyed it. I hope they enjoyed our conversation. I'll come back anytime you want me. Glad to be here. And again, thank you both so much for your kindness to me and your support of my show. I absolutely appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Bill. And by the way, Bill, what is your show? Let's tell the
It is
listeners.
the creatively named Bill Watches Movies. It's the love child of Mystery Science Theater 3000 and Old Time Radio, powered by shots of Woodford Reserve bourbon. So if folks like a good, funny storytelling podcast, I would love to have some B-Movie Cast listeners over there.
Yeah, come on over and check it out. I think it's worth it. And we will put a link to the podcast in the show notes. So please
Very
check
kind.
it out.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you to all the B-Movie Cast listeners. I'm very pleased to be here. I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you, Bill.
Yeah, thanks. And now I know why you moved to Kentucky, so you could be near Nick and really get him to plug in for a co-host constantly.
I was going to say, I think, Mary, he moved to Kentucky to be close to the bourbon.
I can neither confirm
Good
nor
idea.
deny any of those statements.
Good idea.
No, I love me some Nick. He and Fiona are wonderful company. I'm very glad that they make the journey here from the big city of Lexington to the wilds of Winchester to hang out with myself and my wife, Amy.
Wow.
We're very blessed to have them in our life. We're very grateful.
Well, we appreciate you guys having us over all the time. And, once that sort of thing starts, it's hard to get rid of us. We're like fleas.
Well, we have a shindig every Friday night, so come on by.
We dig your shins, dude.
I do have nice legs, yes.
All right, Mary.
What?
Thank you for hosting, as always. We love you.
Thank you.
We love you,
I
Mary. Thank you so
too.
much.
All right.
Talk to you soon.
You guys have a great evening.
Ciao, ciao, Bella.
Ciao.
Ciao, Bella.
Ciao.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Adios, Mafia.
Well, they've gone.
For good, Joe?
No, just for now. It wasn't the right time for us to meet. But there'll be other nights, other stars for us to watch. They'll be back. The ghosts are moving tonight, restless, hungry.
All right, fellas, here's your story. Greetings, my friend. We are all interested in the future, for that is where you and I are going to spend the rest of our lives. And we cannot keep this a secret any longer.
Wait, Captain. I have found evidence of intelligent beings on this planet.
Look to the skies, it's the B-Movie Cookbook. Menus inspired by 15 of your favorite B-movies from the 1950s, with teenage werewolves, blobs, and enough cheese for everyone.
When we return to our planet, the High Court may well sentence you to torture.
But until then, we've got Ed Wood and Vincent Price.
There'll be food and drink and ghosts, and perhaps even a few murders. You're all invited.
So impress your friends with dinner and a movie with the B-Movie Cookbook. We've got you covered. Get your copy today at bmoviecookbook.com. That's bmoviecookbook.com.
Let me see that book. I am interested to see what sways your mind so heavily.
Sure thing, just visit bmoviecookbook.com.
Anybody around here want some coffee?
Transmission.
The good guys always win, even in the 80s.